Hey everybody, it's Thursday night and we are live. We lost two good ones this week. First was, well, not the first, but one of them was Tim Curry. I
On
don't know
the
if you guys want
same
to say
day.
anything.
That's just
Yeah, yeah. We have a short little video. Let's play that.
Actor Tim Curry died at the age of 80 late Tuesday night, according to the LAPD. Curry became a popular cult figure thanks to some of his most iconically quirky roles. He's best known for playing Dr. Frankenfurter, the sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania in the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I see you shiver with anticipation.
And brought the demonic clown Pennywise to life in a miniseries based on Stephen King's horror novel, It.
Aren't you going to say hello? Oh, come on, bucko.
In 1985, Curry played Butler Wadsworth in the murder mystery comedy Clue.
We're trying to find out who killed him, and where, and with what. There's no need to shout. I'm not shouting!
And made an appearance in Home Alone 2 as a nosy concierge in 1992.
How are we this morning?
Fine. Is my transportation here?
Out in front, sir. A limousine and a pizza. Compliments of the Plaza Hotel.
The immediate cause of Curry's death is unclear, but the actor suffered a stroke in 2012 and had been dealing with health problems in the years since.
So my understanding, he was wheelchair bound the past few years after he had the stroke. So
he'd been doing some voiceover work apparently. So he was still working.
Okay. I didn't know that.
That's what I saw in one of the stories.
Oh wow.
He'd been doing since he had a stroke. I think it was in 2012. So it had been quite a while.
Yeah, I
he had the
didn't realize
stroke.
it had been that long.
I was really bummed to find
um,
that out not long ago. It was like earlier this year that I found that out. I think maybe when Catherine O'Hara died and I was like looking up where they were, the people from Home Alone. I really like him. I love Clue. That's like one of my favorite movies.
I didn't know he was the clown in the sewer. Oh,
Right?
If you've never seen it, well, I already posted about this, but The Worst Witch, which is the absolute worst 80s movie, but it was a staple on HBO where he plays the Grand Wizard. And when you watch it, you realize J.K. Rowling ripped off everything for Harry Potter. But also Ridley Scott's Legend with Tom Cruise and Mia Sara, the actress from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he plays Darkness, essentially the devil, and he's unrecognizable in the makeup, but he's phenomenal. So if you're not aware of that movie, that's another one to go see. It's brilliant.
I've never heard of it before, and I'm really upset because I love campy movies and I hate J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Well, the other soul we lost this week was Dolly Parton herself, which was really sad. I don't know. How did you guys hear? I heard about, I was at the office and I got an alert and I heard other people say, "Oh no," like at the same time. So it was just like, what?
I saw the video, the alert video from her nephew, the head of security, that the family put out on social media, which was very classy.
Yeah.
I was trying to do like work and I had to post a video that I needed people to see, about an important event. And I was like, I don't know, like, I guess I'll post it now. And then I was like, that was a mistake. Because I saw the update like almost immediately afterwards. Like it was really right after it happened that they announced it.
So this was Tuesday. And ever since then, you're scrolling through social media and there's all kinds of tributes. There's been a couple of crazy shit, like Nazi stuff and them trying to it's just like,
there's
where
a
is this even
campaign
coming
to
from?
villainize her. Like she's some common billionaire. And I'm like, y'all will do anything but hate the actual corporate overlords. Like this woman's given away half her fortune. It's never enough for these people. I can't. Like, just stop.
I heard
whatever.
I saw an interview with her, and I need to find this clip because she, I guess she wouldn't. So I Will Always Love You. She wouldn't let Elvis Presley record that song, but she let Whitney Houston. And then she was asked, "Well, how do you feel about Whitney Houston basically getting the credit for your song?" And she's like, I got $6 million. You know, I'm getting the royalties,
Well,
so I'm good.
It was because Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's manager, did a Colonel Tom Parker thing where
Yeah.
the deal was done, and it's very Donald Trump. At the 11th hour, Tom Parker said, "Oh, by the way, Elvis gets 50% of the royalties for this song in perpetuity for whomever else would do it," and she backed out of it. And to her credit, because this was 1972, so Dolly Parton wasn't quite Dolly Parton yet. But she knew. I mean, that was one of the things that was really remarkable
She's
about
so
her
smart.
was she was also a really good businesswoman. And
And she
obviously-
said, "I will take you can take the credit. I will take the cash." And that's the quote.
Right.
And actually, the interview, one of them is with
Millions.
Katie Couric. You can find it on, I think it's on Katie Couric's Instagram or her, like, she has her news media channel. It's
Think
there.
how different that song would have been with Elvis. Yeah. No. That's
Has no one else recorded it? I feel like I heard someone else record it too.
I'm sure there have been other covers.
Anyway, there were lots of really lovely tributes. This one I loved.
You
then there
had that,
was-
and then you had places all over the world that did something similar. I know in Philadelphia, the Ben Franklin Bridge was lit up like that.
Buckingham Palace. I'll turn this
I
down.
didn't see this one.
But yeah, like Chris, like you were saying, it was all over the world, and that was really lovely to see. I guess a congressman in Tennessee is introducing a bill
Yes.
to rename the airport, which is I love.
See that.
Oh, yeah.
We
What
could
is
use
this
some positive renaming.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously.
Please.
And she's done so much good, you guys. I mean, like she helped
really
A
has.
fund-
lot of quiet good. I would like to point
Yeah.
this out. A lot of
She was
quiet
never
good.
trying to take credit for stuff. Yep.
And she just along behind the scenes, and she'd be producers, she'd be quiet producers or like an unnamed producer on things, so that she really didn't take anybody's credit. And so not only was she not looking for credit, but she was intentionally trying not to take it from others, which I think is just like the most girls thing. She was such a girls empowering lady. I think that I don't know, I think I put in the doc that is she the last was unified by. And I thought that was, her death was so hard for so many people, not just because she was a legend but because she was like light and joy in a time it's very dark. It just feels like another thing that's taken from us, and it feels unjust and unfair. He's just right there, like, spreading hateness and darkness, and the person who was doing so much good was taken before, and he felt it was.
That's what my husband said. He said, why couldn't she have been president?
I mean, well, okay. Speaking of presidents, this is the one nice, like the only good thing I think Trump has ever done was I was shocked when he ordered the flags to be lowered. In fact, I think I messaged you, Casey, because I was like, "What is happening here?" Like that just seems so.
I showed you what I posted.
My mom said, she's universally loved by, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, faiths, creeds, color, and I think that's true. And she tried to stay apolitical, but I think we all knew, by her humanitarianism that
Yeah, and there's
where she stood.
just the titles. And she wrote a song about women's right to vote. Like, I do you think you're you're pretty safe to say what side of the aisle she was walking down.
I just
Based
have a
on
real
that.
problem with the conservative commentators and people coming out praising her because you stand for everything she stood against.
They're
There
gutting
was a-
her.
There was a clip from early 2000s of her on Larry King. And so this is Priya Bergefell, where he asks her, how do you feel about people that are religious having a problem with your stance on LGBTQ people? And she
Oh, we
just
have
said,
we have a
oh,
clip.
you have that? Okay.
We have her response.
Who we are. If you're gay, you're gay. If you're straight, you're straight. And you should be allowed to be, how you are and who you are.
People know that I love and care about people for who they are and for who they are to me. And believe me, like I say, in my own immediate family and in my circle of employees, I've got gays, I've got lesbians, I've got drag queens, I've got transgenders, I've got some of everything in my own family. And I love them. I know how serious they are about all of it. So my heart is open. It is not my place to judge. I just enjoy people for who and what they are.
I've been at this so long, a lot of people feel like they've grown up with me. As you know, I've always been outspoken. I've always been pretty outrageous. I always believe that a person should be who they are. And you should be comfortable being who you are, and people should leave you alone to be who you are and how you are. So I think I've always been accepted in the gay community because I accept them. And I have so many fans that always love to come to the shows, and they know that I'm not judging them. I think people are who they are, and I'm not God. I'm not a judge. We're supposed to love each other exactly for who and what we are.
And I love this little bit right here, this clip.
And well, if you're the fine Christian that you think you are, why are you judging people? Why are you, that's God's job. We're not God. We're not judges. We're supposed to love one another. We're supposed to not judge, and we're not supposed to take vengeance on other people. That's God's job. So I got too much to do of my own, try to do God's work too. I mean, not to, to get into trying to do all that. So yeah, I suffer for everything I do. I'm not out to make any, I just think that we should be more loving, more caring. We are who we are. If you're gay, you're gay. So if you're straight, you're straight. And you should be allowed.
But she's just, everyone loved her. And she did that.
Fun fact.
Oh, say it. Tell us.
So, I want to say it was in the 80s. She participated in a Dolly Parton drag show, and she got all done up, and she lost. So she absolutely supports the LGBTQ community. So I think kudos to her for all she's done for so many people, for children around the world. Her imagination library. It warms my heart to see how many people are stepping up, in her passing and donating, and let's just, even in her death, she's doing good things. You know what I mean? So
yeah. She damn, I can't remember when it's supposed to come out, but she left a song, unreleased song that's not supposed to really release
to her 100th birthday.
Yeah, 2040 something.
46.
I think. Okay, yeah.
46.
So we can look forward to that.
I hope I'm alive. Like, oh my God, that's
I know. That's kind of like, girl.
Really far away.
I have a story too. My associate designer told me this. She met Jolene. And so Jolene, so there is a Jolene. Jolene is the same age as Dolly. She has red hair. And she claims she was not going after her husband. So, but she said she's the woman that she wrote about in there. She was at a speaking engagement. I don't know how much of that. I mean, I know it's true what she said. I don't know if Jolene was on the level about not going after her.
My best friend named her daughter Jolene after that song, which
I love it. I love it.
I mean,
no, I don't think Jolene would take credit for the man part. I would be surprised if she would own up to
famous name. Famous name.
Do we have favorite songs? Does anybody have a favorite song? A Dolly's song?
I mean, I like
Love
Jolene a
Islands.
lot.
I love Islands in the Stream. I think that's just such a fun song.
Mine is Hard Candy Christmas from the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas,
good.
which I started watching when I was like 10 years old or maybe even younger. And I saw it a million times, probably too young to see that movie, but it was the only movie that my cousins had on Betamax. So I saw it again and again.
I forgot about that one.
This is cool.
Mine was
New Yorkers.
Love is Like a Butterfly. That was the first Dolly song
Oh,
I ever
yeah.
heard, and I was hooked. Yeah.
New Yorkers took it upon themselves to change the name of the
Oh,
stop to Parton
nice.
Street. So I love that.
Oh.
Daily Mail got that. So this is, where is that? I have a clip here. So she did. Well, let's just play this. But she did her book thing, and funding got cut. So
Cut funding for Dolly Parton's child reading program just this year. Now they're mourning her passing. But the thing is, Trump and MAGA are destroying Dolly Parton's vision for America.
We should be accepting and loving. We are all God's children.
That's who Dolly Parton was, known for bringing people together across demographic lines with her music and charitable projects. Throughout her life, she gave most of her money, hundreds of millions of dollars, to initiatives like her Imagination Library for Kids, COVID-19 vaccine research, pediatric care, disaster relief, and even American bald eagle preservation. That's why she was awarded the Carnegie Medal of Philanthropy in 2022. Some of her acts were only made public years later, like how she invested the royalties from Whitney Houston's cover of her I Will Always Love You into a black neighborhood in Nashville. She was an advocate, championing marriage equality, rejecting religious judgment of queer people, defending trans people, and embracing drag culture. Imagine if Trump had just embraced drag culture instead of this path. He could have been a great judge on RuPaul's Drag Race. Instead, he's cut funding for programs like the ones Parton supports. He's axed abortion rights, brutalized Americans and immigrants, rolled back trans rights and diversity initiatives, and fanned the flames of division in our country and across the world. That could be why Parton declined 2 offers to receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom during Trump's first term. And in 2026, MAGA Republicans in Missouri cut 2/3 of funding for her Imagination Library, which mails a free age-appropriate book each month to kids from birth to 5. Now, new kids can enroll in the state. Dolly Parton was such a picture of unity, love, and acceptance that even Trump and MAGA loved her. The sad part is, her vision of America feels further away than ever.
I don't know. For me, libraries are sacred. Like, one of those sacred places. Like, do not fuck with libraries or librarians. That's just a personal thing for me. So,
and it's one thing to be a villain that way, Chris, but it's another thing that when she dies to try to claim proximity.
Yes.
And that's
they
my
do that with
problem
Martin Luther
too.
King. They weren't.
Oh, yeah.
They
I mean, they do that
didn't
with
want this
everyone.
holiday for anything. They
use quotes.
From
him. That's
but that's
crazy.
But they really don't know what he was. They don't know what he meant or what he was saying.
Right.
Honestly.
Republicans cut funding for Dolly.
So
it's like how they think Jesus would be on their side. You know what I mean? They're real insistent that Jesus is going to come down and be like, "Hey, Holmes," like, no, you're on the wrong side. And they're the same thing as her. I think they really believe that sometimes what they're doing is what she would believe in, and it's everything that's the opposite. Like, I don't think there's one thing she has in common with them.
Yeah. So, she was to me, she was the epitome of goodness. And like you guys have been saying, like, she obviously was very wealthy, but she was giving, like, quietly contributing, quietly giving money away. And then we have the other side of it. Casey, you want to talk about this?
Can I ask you a quick question? Did any of you ever dress up as Dolly Parton for Halloween? Because I did. At least twice.
Did they think you were Dolly Parton or Mae West? Because I feel like when people dress up as her, sometimes it's like, okay. Remember, do you guys know who Mae West is?
Do you know who Mae West is?
Okay.
She's a lot, right? She's dead, right? I can say was.
Huh?
I say was, right? She's dead, right? Mae West.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's much older. Yeah. I think she died when I was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, somebody said, Blue Kansas said her brother dressed up as Dolly Parton.
Oh, that's funny. I love that.
That's pretty cool. So talk about this. She was about all the people and giving everyone equal opportunity and a seat at the table. And then you have Trump.
And then you have Trump. So the thing about the connection with DEI is that they've taken it, they've corrupted the name, but it was never about just giving people things they didn't earn. It was like what Dolly was doing, in that she was giving people things who were deserving and could do good things with those things, right? But those people who were marginalized, people who were poor and in poverty, to help bring them up into an equitable place, right? This was like, you can go look up the meme of equity versus equality, and just finding out that not only are Trump's cuts like unfair and obnoxious and whatever, but they're actively harming people, including MAGA. We keep finding this over and over and over again. And when I saw this story of this town and these people that haven't had a septic tank in like 30 years, right? And the cuts from his DEI cuts, like, right, all those programs that he cut that he called DEI were things that were fixing like water. Okay. And that runoff, like, they're just literally, their sewage is running from a like a plastic PVC pipe into the yard. That's not good for anyone.
That's going to cause, disease. And it's just.
So how do we know that that's partially how all of these, like, dysentery and all these different diseases that went through? That's why it was usually like either the rats with the fleas or it was sewage. And so in this case, you have people in rural areas like Alabama, like these rural South areas or rural Midwest areas, Appalachia, where people need support and need help because they are already at a disadvantage, and they have been generationally, either because of poverty or because they're Black and they were not given rights and opportunities like white people were. And so these programs are gonna hurt them when they're cut, but they're also going to hurt you as their neighbors or you that live in their state. This is why people are suffering from measles deaths now, because people can't get the vaccine until a certain age. So kids are dying. Your kids are proximate to that now. So I just wanted to point out that this idea that the DEI cuts are somehow helping. No, in fact, not only are they hurting, but they're hurting everyone.
And DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is about giving people a seat at the table that were denied a seat at the table. Women have been the number one beneficiary of that. And I think a lot of times people are thinking, oh, it's Black people. Because I see a lot of white women who are like, no DEI and whatever. Honey, you were you better read your books and see where this came from.
There's been a lot of videos to like, that's such a good point. And I was talking to you earlier about that. And so I encourage you all to look up, you can Google this or look it up. There are so many different examples of where DEI helps everyone. So like if you're going up a curb cut, for instance, and you're pushing your stroller up and you're like, oh, so much easier than like lugging it upstairs. You can thank a person in a wheelchair. You can thank someone who's disabled. Like that's how we get those things, is because those programs are in place to help accommodate people that didn't have those same opportunities. And it actually ends up benefiting and boosting everyone. And there shouldn't be threats because of it. Instead, we should all be rallying behind it and saying, like, how do we help all of our neighbors, just like what Dolly Parton was doing? How do we help everyone? Because when everyone succeeds, actually, I succeed more. So instead of looking around and being like, ooh, I have to have more than that person, you will have more than that person. You will, because when they have more, you will inevitably have more. Like at some point in the long run, we are all going to benefit.
And it's not just about,
except for the billionaires. Sorry, they will have to pay a little more, but they'll still make money too in the long run. So whatever.
Oh yeah. Look at what happened, at the turn of the century when, Henry Ford started paying people like a living wage. Mm-hmm. It lifted the entire country up. But it's not just about lifting people up and giving people a break or helping people by pushing them up. It's also about information. It's also about teaching empathy. It's also about teaching history. It's also about teaching people, hey, you have these advantages that you don't even know. And, you can actually, Trump thinks that people are feeling bad about that, and Republicans think that people are feeling bad about that. It's actually something that you can feel good about, that you can say, hey, I've had these opportunities, and now I have the opportunity to give other people opportunities. When you give to other people, it makes you feel good. it makes you,
Feel like
I mean,
Dolly.
it makes me feel good. And that's,
like
yeah.
Dolly.
And you see Dolly Parton as a prime example of that. And particularly in our colleges and, you know, our education system, it's so important that we teach this, because as we see, there are too many people in society that have no empathy whatsoever. None whatsoever. And I had no idea just how bad it was until until recently. I mean, we see people that are fine with what's going on in, you know, ICE detention and these shootings and, you know, so many things. They rather have the right to a gun than the life of a child. I mean, environment, you think of all of these things, and people have no empathy and they have no foresight to see how it's going to affect them. And I think that DEI, it doesn't just give people information, but it also helps people become their better selves and more creative and more analytical. And we need that.
It's also good business. If you really, like, if you think of it from a marketing point of view, you don't just sell to one group of people. And here's a perfect example. You know, like, if there were Black people with a seat at the table, or any people of color, like, I don't know what the fuck's going on in Target, but the fact that this
It's retribution.
Was
I think they're mad
released
about
and
the
it was
boycott.
put in this, and this young kid was put in this pose. This was very intentional. I cannot be convinced otherwise. And, you know, my wife and I stopped shopping at Target when Trump put the pressure on everybody, no DEI, and they announced they were ending DEI. They were ending partnerships with, you know, Black products, LGBTQ products, Asian, like all of everything. They dropped that, and I was like, Michelle, that's my wife saying, we got to stop Target. And she was not happy because she likes her Target pickups. And I was like, we'll survive. And we have not been back since January of 2025, and we'll never go back, especially this. This confirms that we made the right decision. Now, to be fair, they did apologize. They say you didn't see it, or you did?
I didn't see it, actually.
Oh, yeah. So they apologized. An apology from us. We removed an offensive Halloween costume that should never have been part of our assortment. Of course, the fuck not. It is no longer for sale. And so when I posted that, this actually was from my post. I put this together, and at that point, it's too small to see, but they had taken it down. The costume was no longer. So this was, I want to say this was Sunday. It happens like it went online on Saturday, and then by Sunday it was removed. And then this apology, I think, was later that day. As a company, or maybe it was Monday. As a company, we got this wrong, and we are deeply sorry. We know this is especially hurtful for our Black guests, team members, and partners. Removing the costume is an important first step, and we are looking closely at how this happened and what needs to change to ensure this won't happen again. I don't accept their apology. I'm sorry. I do not. Like, just change, and then we'll see. But like they should have apologized. I get that, but I don't think I'm obligated to accept it. This is unforgivable.
I don't understand how they have fallen so far. I mean, I think it was like, what was it, 21 or 22? They had set up just incredible partnerships with Black-owned businesses.
Yeah.
My Target, I was like, oh my God, there was the clothing switched up. I mean, there was like really nice products on the shelves. It just didn't make sense. There was better hair products. There was better skincare products. There was just more better. Okay.
A lot of people also commented that Pride Month, like after the DEI thing, they did carry Pride merchandise, but it was not as
it wasn't
good,
the same.
as it used to be.
They've had issues before with their Pride line as well. Like, this is not the first time that they've had issues, but they managed them much better, much more effectively. And I think that's largely because it was all prior to the DEI removal and kowtowing to Trump. But so what I was telling Chris about this, why I was so upset about this, is because once again, here's a situation where you can tell that even if it was an accident, which I'm going to say personally, I think it was retribution for the boycott. I think they're mad about the boycott because we've all been boycotting them. And so they're like, look, we're just going to, somebody did. I'm not saying the whole company, but like someone in the decision-making path, right? And that's the point. Like, if they hired people of color, if they hired women, if they hired people who understood history and observed history and experienced history, then they would I saw it immediately, but I'm saying, like, they would definitely see it immediately, and they would pull that before it even got close to being put out. And so this just shows me that they don't prioritize. They didn't take this, like, there was no sensitivity in this.
I need everybody to understand, though, there's so many layers before this ever went to publication. Right. It's not like, oh, somebody just decided, oh, this is cute, we're going to put it out there. This Target doesn't work that way. You have to, I've worked with them. You have to get things approved.
It's a year-long process, right?
This was staged before it was shot, and then it was put on into publication. And, you know, this was not just a little incident here. This went.
Anybody that's worked with a corporation knows that what Chris is saying is 100% true, because I have friends that have worked with Disney and like SeaWorld, and if they're doing, like, say, like Halloween Horror Nights, for instance, they start on that the whole year before. Like, it's literally like you're going to Halloween Horror Nights, and they're like working on next year. And so they were doing this Halloween.
They do mood boards, storyboards, all of that. It's not.
It starts down in the beginning with concepts.
Can I just make a point of what it actually says? Kids glow. What is it? Glows under black light circus clown. Like, if you don't think really all hard. Those words, I'm sorry.
They really did.
Somebody, like you said, Chris, this is super intentional by someone. This is super intentional.
And I feel sorry for this kid. I mean, he's not super recognizable here. I would like to talk to his parents, because you are also, that's the other thing here. Children are not allowed to be unsupervised. There has to be a parent or legal guardian on set at all times for photo shoots, commercials, movies, all that shit. So I don't know.
That's a pose. Children don't do that. They don't just stand like that.
Yeah. Oh no, this was like stand like this.
Like,
and the makeup. And the makeup. I just got a letter in the mail from the Target credit card saying they're going to cancel my card, and I'm like, bye. I don't want it anymore.
Bye.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry, Chris. What were you saying? Chris Q was saying something, and we cut him off. Sorry.
For almost 2 decades, I taught a class in the history of pop music, and what many Americans are very uneducated about is this is from the minstrel show. And the minstrel show was specifically making fun of Black people as dumb, dim-witted, uneducated, happy-go-lucky. And it was the most popular form of entertainment in the United States for almost 100 years, from about the 1820s, 30s, through the 1900s. And if you look into different movies from the early 1900s, in fact, Holiday Inn, famous movie where we got the song White Christmas. There is a song in there called Abraham where Bing Crosby is in blackface. And you have early animation. When you look at early animation,
he was Mickey also Mouse, racist, by the way.
Why does Mickey Mouse wear white gloves? That is a remnant of the minstrel show. Early animation wasn't like the minstrel show. It was a minstrel show. Those characters were developed off of the stereotypes created within the minstrel show. And so this permeates American culture to this day, and people just don't understand where those stereotypes come from. And so again, that speaks to a complete lack of education within the people within that company, that no one flagged this, because it is so incredibly obvious at first glance to anyone that has any knowledge of the history.
I put this together because a lot of people didn't get it. And even after I posted it, people were like, well, it was an accident. What? People make excuses for this. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know.
That is not an accident.
No. Oh, hell no. I had to school people, but then
I'm sorry.
It's just like, whatever the fuck, you know.
Going off of what Chris Quinn said, I would like to echo this. This is how the Republicans have sowed division in this country, because when they take this kind of history out of the textbooks, which wasn't really there to begin with. Okay, let me just stress that wasn't really. It was, if it was there incomplete, and it was there from a white perspective. And so we were just getting to the point where we were starting to like move over onto the bridge, right?
Such a
To
great
look at
point.
history from a different perspective. And so what they did was they took that away so that people could look at your post, Chris, and go, well, what are you talking about? There's no such, like, they have no idea about the history. And so they think that we're creating the division because they're ignorant and because the Republicans have made them that way on purpose, because then they can continue to monetize their white supremacy. And that's how they've created this bigger division of hatred of Democrats, right? Like, not just our policies, but actually the party, because the Republicans have done this on purpose. Like, this is all intentional when they take knowledge away from you, and we didn't really have it to begin with, and the little bit that we have is being taken. People look at things like this and think it's okay because they don't understand the actual history. And it infuriates me because we were beginning to turn a corner. And that's what makes me so mad, is because we really were starting to move in the right direction.
I think
I mean,
I'd also like to
people on TikTok, like people of color on TikTok are like pointing stuff out about Target. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, why are you still shopping?
Why are you talking about it?
I don't know. Yeah, because not like everybody I know does not shop at Target, but whatever.
I just want to give a shout out to my art teachers and my music teachers in high school and in junior high who incorporated this information in my lessons. And we were taught the history around some of the, like, I remember one of the we took a class in theater, and one of the topics was about old time, movies and how they depicted people. And so I find it really hard, unless you're completely absent from history lessons altogether, that this is what, like, having a little bit of knowledge as far as manufacturing clothing, there was a process that got them here. Okay, like you were talking, Chris, it's not like folks sit around.
This was not an intern
sit around
throwing
the
this
table. Yes, they sit around a table and go, we'll buy 100 of those. We'll buy, like, there's a process. There's a process to making that costume. There's a process.
And they chose a black model. Like, they did that on
with
purpose.
that face.
Right,
I mean,
and that pose, like,
it
it could have been any child that was put in that costume, but it was specifically a black child.
In that
That's
pose.
intentional. In
Can
that pose.
Can I just add a little PSA as a teacher? As a teacher,
Sure.
I'm an English teacher, but I was a history teacher. I'm an English teacher now. Include these lessons in your classes, and unless you're going to get fired if you're in the South or something. Include these lessons. And do everything that you can, even if you are in the South. You know what the right thing to do is. You are responsible for shaping young minds, and you need to make sure that people get exposure to understand these things, so that your students don't think that it's racist to learn about slavery. I mean, there are people that have it so backwards, and there are people who think that saying I don't see color is something that proves that they're not racist, when it's exactly the opposite.
Yeah, I don't like that when people say that, because if that means you don't see me. If you say you don't see color, I will always be a black man. So I'm fine with people seeing color.
You can blame my generation's upbringing for that, because they took us away in PSAs and told us that everybody was equal. Like that's
So
the older millennials.
I have a PSA for teachers. When you teach these lessons, because I've been hearing over the past years, this makes white children feel uncomfortable. Please be kind to black children in your class when you're teaching these lessons, because we feel uncomfortable too. And I'm going to say, and it's not just history, it's English as well. My son in the 7th grade read To Kill a Mockingbird, and they were reading it in the class. Like, each kid took turns, right? And the N-word is peppered throughout that book. And so my son was one of 2 black children in the class, and he was convinced that they enjoyed saying that word. And so we had to have a talk, reach out to the teacher. It was very insensitively done, because even the teacher was reading passages and just reading the N-word like it was no thing. fortunately, my daughter is 7 years younger than my son. By the time because this is like standard reading, right? You know, like what it's in most literature classes in middle school. By the time my daughter was reading it, different school, they reached out to the parents and said, we are going to be reading To Kill a Mockingbird, and this is how we will be doing it. We are sensitive. I was, when I got that email, I wrote back, I was like, thank you. So I'm just telling you, and I never went to a school board meeting and had a breakdown. Okay. So this stuff, like Black people don't do that. So we put up with this shit. I've also been the only Black kid in history classes when they do, touch on slavery. Just do it. You have to teach it. It's the truth. But just pay attention to these kids when you have them in your class and how they are
and
feeling.
the bullying.
That's all.
And the bullying that goes along with it.
Because there are going to be kids that do like it. There's going to be kids that are like, hey, whatever. I have a lot of stories that I'm not going to get into tonight, but yeah, I just wanted to mention that since we were talking about teaching these lessons, that there is another side to it, and they don't always think about us and how we feel. So on a better note, Casey shared this. So DEI has been just fine for a lot of, I will say Costco has been a beneficiary of Target's stupidity, racism, whatever you want to call it.
We shop there way more now.
Yes.
They, so all of these companies that went against Trump and, lost that revenue, lost that breaks, whatever, they benefited well. Their quarter earnings look great. And I think it just speaks to the fact that people put their money with companies that they want, to be proud of. And when they see stuff like what we just saw from Target, it's like, I was already not shopping there, but that's, like you said, that's going to just cement it for me, because not only did you do that initially and kowtow to Trump and then you didn't make any changes. Then you actually got worse somehow. That just shows me that you're not a safe company, and people are seeing that Costco's also on their side when it comes to like food recalls. And then in the Callaway story, which we'll talk about later, it just, people right now want to find companies that will help keep them safe, because clearly this government won't.
Yeah. We know, we're not valued in a lot of places. So when you see inclusivity, it's like, okay, I want to give my money to this place. So I don't know, like I said before, it's good business. So just remember that. Speaking of Callaway, did you all see this ad?
Do not touch my new driver.
So
he pushed her. I don't know if you could see, but he like,
let me see.
Yeah,
he runs up and like.
And there's like a whole more. By the way, that's the CEO. I found out.
I didn't know that.
Callaway. I didn't know that
this
either
guy in the ad.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh hell. Do
you know what's his name?
Really...
Michelle? I can't remember his name. Chris, do you know?
So he must have been dragged for filth by now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Callaway put out this ad and almost immediately pulled it down, because of course, like, women were like, oh hi, domestic violence is like the #1 killer of women. 1 in 3 women around the world face domestic violence or some sort of form of abuse at the hands of their partner or someone that they know. What do you fucking mean? Like, what are you doing with this, right? And so Costco was one of the businesses that we heard. Now, I haven't verified it, so y'all go look, but that I did hear that they were one of the companies that had initially pulled down the Callaway products, and because of the backlash. Because why women are one of the, like, obviously newer subscribers to the sport and the consumers, but women have had the purchasing power for a long time. Even if it's men's golf clubs, the women are oftentimes buying things like that. So why would you put out an ad intentionally this disrespectful and hateful and not apologize for it? And of course there were some men that tried to come in and minimize it and invalidate it. And
well, let's watch what the women clap back. Let's watch that.
His name is Chip Brewer, by the way.
Of course it is.
Chip Brewer.
Yeah, of course it is.
I'm looking as you're talking. I don't see when I put in Callaway on the the Costco website, it doesn't come up. So
Yeah. Okay.
Just saying.
Yes.
All day, every day, therapist, mother, maid, infant, a virgin.
No, sir. Bitches put up
All day,
I think women are like 30%, almost 30% now, the consumers for these golf products now. And I'm sorry, but I've seen a lot of Yell swings, and women have better swings. So I think that's partially why they've tried to keep women at the sport.
It's a very I golf, and I have to say it's a very misogynistic sport.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
We have just
A
like a
sport of
mile from our
privilege.
house, we have just like a putting range, and I can't tell you how many times like I would go, and I haven't been in a while because I messed up my shoulder, but you would go and guys would just walk up out of nowhere and go, "Nice swing, honey." Like just I can't tell you how many times I said F you, like in a course of an hour than I did at a golf course.
I mean, the people who have weddings, plantations, and like own plantations, and the people who golf like that it's a circle. It's just one circle of
Oh,
that
well,
Venn
I mean,
diagram.
you'd go in to, get your spot, and there would be gentlemen walking in saying, "Are you serious? We have to be behind the girls. Really? It's going to take them forever." I
Really?
mean, it's just a whole,
That's
oh yeah.
bonkers.
It's a whole
What do you do,
whole
Michelle?
vibe. I just turn around and give them a dirty ass look, and then I
would
make a
Be
point
saying something.
when I'm
You're so
playing
nice.
is to take my sweet fucking time, because
Yeah, that's really
you
smart.
want to be a jerk.
Like when
behind
somebody
me,
cuts
go
you
right
off,
ahead.
cut them
Yeah,
off
and
back and forth.
well, it's a
that's-
sport of
Yep.
money. It's like you have to have a lot of money oftentimes to play golf or like join golf.
I went to
Yeah, it can get expensive, especially if you're really into it. You start. I'm just
yeah.
gonna say I'm happy to say I don't have any Callaway clubs because, yeah.
I went to
So
a
I guess
country club
Titleist did their own
bucket list. Just calling to let you know I got
I think
home.
this was an old ad.
I can't tell you how much I enjoyed that
For
trip.
juxtaposition.
Oh. I would say this is a nice.
I know you're busy, so I really appreciate you making the time to play with your old man.
They should release this again then, because I think
All right, call me
I
when you
wanna
get
support
this.
them.
Love you.
I cry every time I see that thing. Like I don't know what they're
You
trying
can
to
hear
do
him
to us, but
choking up. It makes me want to, yeah.
that's what makes me lose it. But you see, you can do ads that aren't misogynistic and terrible, and like that. By the way, way more effective. Like that makes me like that brand because I saw that and had feelings about it. So that's the whole point of advertising and marketing anyway. I'm unclear why like they just can't slap women around in public anymore. So now they're going to do it in advertisements. Like what's happening? Like just what were you to say,
Well,
Susan? Sorry, you were saying something.
I was saying I went to a fundraiser at a country club, and they had on the side of the men's lounge, and I'm like, "Where's
Yeah.
the women's?"
That's
lounge?
still, yeah.
There
That's
was
still,
no.
yeah.
And
That was
they-
probably the
Yep.
kind of country
Thing.
club that didn't allow women or black people, or they
Right.
still may not.
It's still my night.
Yeah.
And some of the Redskins were their coach of the basketball team. I mean, it's just sick. It's, but who was the wife that hit her husband's car with golf club? Tiger
Oh,
Woods?
Elin Was it Elin Nordgren?
No,
Tiger
it's
Woods'
his
wife?
Yeah, that was Tiger Woods' wife. Yeah.
Tiger
I
Woods'
think she
wife,
hit
yes.
him, not just his car. I don't think.
That's her name, though.
He was
Her
fucking
name.
around. She was waiting for him with golf clubs. Like,
That's her
yeah, I don't
name,
think
though.
it was
Is
just the
Elin.
car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was because it was
They
a
are
woman.
divorced. She has moved on, and
Good for
apparently so
her.
has he. Yeah.
Anyway,
so there was
Callaway.
men responded to this as well. Casey,
Yeah. So men responded as well.
sorry, hold on. What was that?
I just wanted to say, to remind everybody that when any of this controversy happens, it's a really good opportunity to mine your social media, be watching your mutuals, be watching the people that like things, be watching the people that comment, because you know they're not safe people. And whether you want to restrict them or block them or mute them or whatever you want to do, I'm not saying you necessarily have to get into it with them, but I'm just saying recognize and watch the people, the influencers, anybody that's putting out things or commenting, because they are revealing who they really are.
Yeah.
And there were people doing that is what that's really just what these were, is like there were men that actually
There, no sound. Keep talking, Casey.
and then I'm done. Like that, they just did this, and it was there's one that looks like it's a somewhat bigger creator. This one. Just, I mean, like, that's not funny. Like, I don't think that that's funny that you're chasing your wife with a golf club when women die from that. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's abuse.
Is that they don't have any jokes?
All right. President sins tonight, y'all. So we're gonna keep this segment a little shorter.
Top 10 of the week.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's exhausting. Here's so talking about beef here.
What do you have to say to U.S. farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, as they are
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means? They have no money. They have no anything. They're fighting so hard to survive. If I can help them survive in a free world, I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can. But don't make it sound like they're doing great. They are dying. All right? They're dying.
They're okay. I was just there. I'm Argentinian. They're okay. All right. And Argentinians are used to having, I mean, this is really sad, and it's sad, but it's true. Argentinians are used to having economic catastrophes because it just keeps happening again and again and again. But, I think the president was saved by Trump politically because that was a great deal for Argentina, but it was a real crappy deal for us here in the United States.
For our farmers.
What was the number? What did he
screwed.
get? Didn't he get like 40 million or something? Or billion, maybe?
I can't remember
It was
exactly.
billion. Yeah, but like this, so he decided he's going to go to war with Canada, trade war. So all of these things are 50% on 500 goods. And one of them, I don't see it here, but we're going to be paying this like, I feel like whenever Trump's in power, we're fighting over toilet paper. So your toilet paper prices are going to go up because apparently we import a lot of, like when toilet paper is manufactured in the United States, we import wood pulp from Canada. And also some crazy amount of actual toilet paper is imported from Canada.
So that explains. I've gone to Costco twice in the last 2 weeks, and they've had 0 paper towels. I'm like, what's going on? I don't. Trying to figure out what the problem is. Is it a supply issue?
We get our toilet paper and paper towels from Costco. It's great because you can buy, big thing. And actually, their quality is good. Like their Kirkland. I'm not trying to plug them, but
that's what we use.
They do a really good quality.
And it's better. Yeah.
I like their paper towels better than Bounty for sure. I did like the toilet paper the best, but now they changed the recipe or the ingredients in their toilet paper, and it's a little bit more sandpapery. So I moved to a different brand. But they did have the best toilet paper. Costco, if you're listening, go back. We like that toilet paper.
So today he signed an executive order changing he thinks he changed Lake Ontario to Lake America. And this is just kind of funny. Like all the versions of this, This one says Canada changed the name of their half of Lake Ontario to Lake Obama because we know why.
I'd like to point out that MapQuest has put out that they are not changing it, and they
nobody should.
They never changed the Gulf of Mexico. So I will now be using MapQuest exclusively, which I honestly, until this morning, did not even know still existed. But I'm glad they do. And I will be using them.
I use Apple Maps. Are they changing the name? I better not hear
Yes.
they are. They're not. Yeah.
Apple and Google are.
They are changing the name. What a fucking this.
No, they're not.
That's
no.
Okay. We got to
wouldn't
organize on
surprise
social
me.
media. We
We
got
gotta
to
organize against that. That's
that's
fucking
like
nuts.
bullshit. We'll talk about that, guys, because
everybody
listening out there, we're gonna push for that's like bullshit from Apple and Google.
Why are we enabling a tantrum from a grown ass man? Like, what are you doing? Like, just say no.
Can't they just adjust it on his phone only? So like, anyone else is gonna care. I don't even think Republicans would
Google's
care. I think
explanation from last year, their justification was different countries name different things differently. And
who is he?
The name only applies within the country where that has that name. That was their justification. Now, that's ridiculous.
We know the real reason.
But exactly. We know the real reason. And so it would not be surprising at all that they change. But it is a good opportunity to point out that this is bigger than just his tantrum. This is the allowing him to point at Canada, point at Mexico, and say, you are subservient to us. That you are.
He's a bully.
he just wants his name on everything.
Matter in this in this hemisphere. We are in control, and you are subservient to us.
So I just have to ask, that meme that you have right there, did they post that, or is this?
Nah, I just found this photo. I have no
oh my
idea
god,
where it came from, I loved it immediately. I started yelling. I posted it as well.
That's awesome.
I also enjoy the Lake Michigan to Lake Epstein.
I do want to point out that the Great Lake was also we have that later.
Sorry.
The lake, it was it's rooted in Native American or indigenous culture, that name. So it's not like just a random name that he's changing.
And is older than Canada and the United States.
This really got me too. This changing the name to Trump of a carrier named after a black hero. Really, he if you saw the movie Pearl Harbor, Cuba Gooding Jr. Would play Doris Miller, and so this was. Is it considered the USS Doris Miller? I guess it is. The US, it's a carrier, and it was named after him. I've seen some interviews with his family. They were so grateful. They were just, moved to tears. And then Trump, I think they're floating this. It's not official. At least last I checked, it's not official. But come on. He's like putting his name on everything. And this man died in the war. He didn't die in that particular event that was in Pearl Harbor, but he died, I think, a year later in the war. And so, Trump is trying to name everything after himself while he's still alive, and he's trying to buy our respect. He's trying to buy honor that he will never achieve. It's not real, like what he's doing. So, yeah. What else we got here? The Kennedy Center.
The administration is now threatening to demolish the Kennedy Center if it's not allowed to move forward with renovations and allowed to add President Trump's name to the front of the building. Justice Department lawyers arguing without the president's help, the, quote, decrepit venue would go into a, quote, death spiral. President Trump's name went up at the Kennedy Center in December. A judge then ordered it taken down.
Who buys that? Who buys that bullshit? It's going to go into disrepair if they're not immediately allowed to renovate and put his name up.
Oh,
there's buildings all the time that aren't taken care of that well.
They
What's that?
acknowledged in court they did damage to it. That there's damage to it. The letters previously had damage.
Yeah, okay, but that doesn't mean tear it down.
Well, that's the point is like we already knew that we were going to have to pay for the marble to be refaced or whatever. So now they're trying to
Wait,
use
are you saying
that.
Trump did damage? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
When they put his name up,
Yeah,
you have to
okay.
drill holes to put those letters, which those letters were ready when they voted to change the name.
Yep.
The letters were ready. Those are custom letters. They didn't just go find them.
Yeah.
So they were
And-
ready. They had to drill them into the wall. Now, marble can be repaired, but it takes a specialist. You have to fill the holes with a special epoxy and do the restoration. It can be done. You don't have to tear the shit down. I don't think that's the excuse.
It's a temper
No, I
tantrum.
mean that's what they're trying. I think they're just trying to.
It's a temper tantrum. Exactly.
Mhm.
That's exactly what it is. Okay.
Yeah, I heard him complaining about real quick. I heard him complaining about the roof. It needs so every building needs a roof after a while. Like it's not like
They
know
don't just-
his
what
his
kind
whole
of-
tone
what
of
kind of
like
life
if
does he
I don't
live?
get my name on it, we're tearing the whole building down is ridiculous.
It's such a
Aside.
petulant
It's
child.
ridiculous.
What did I say?
I mean, you can look at it and tell that it doesn't need. It's ridiculous.
When we first started this whole series, what did I say? And I told people specifically that live here in the DC area with me that this man plans to tear down all of the landmarks that mean anything to us. And he will do it and he will justify it. And this is the kind of stuff that I was talking about. It's not just knee-jerk reaction. That this is a plan. This has been a part of the plan. Like I know we joke about them letting him do this to keep him busy and like whatever. Like, but in fact, I think that this is a plot to destroy and or reimagine things in his image with his name because he knows he's dying and because he knows he's hated and because this is how he makes money. So it's like everything all in one. It's a narcissist dream. Yeah. And I mean, that's why we also were really upset because we're like, we knew he was going to plan the 250th anniversary and he was going to use all the money that had already been earmarked for that to buy all of this stuff and get away with it. And this was like the worst thing you could possibly do is hand the keys of this country to a narcissist that is also a grifter, felon, pedophile. Like,
Nothing should surprise us after he tore down the East Wing. Like he was like,
Right.
oh, we're just like messing with this wall. And then next thing we turn on, we go onto social media and we're like, what is happening? The entire thing was being demolished before
The
our
spirit
eyes.
of JFK, the legacy of JFK is the antithesis of him.
100%.
Or there is that slight possibility that he could be in cahoots with Russia to destroy everything in America. And that's my theory. I mean, every single thing, every landmark, he's changing everything.
That was my theory too, Melina, back
that's
in
what it is.
2016, and I was like, we're just watching it play out. Yep.
I'm not 100% sure he knows that that's what's happening though. Like I will be honest about that. Like he might think he's doing whatever, but I think he can get played. I don't think he's stupid, but I don't think he's smart. I don't think he's as smart as he thinks he is.
We're all going to get together and be like, how soon can this shit come down? Like the minute he's gone.
Right. Well, and he obviously has cognitive issues now. Like no one can convince me otherwise. So like he's not the same man
that
he
mixed
was
with his
10 years ago.
narcissism,
Right.
which he's always been a narcissist, but it's
So
way worse
I think it's weird to me that the Republicans who are so like orderly pretending like they care about national security and that they care about all these things like aren't more concerned about what Melina was talking about because like and Michelle was saying because this is very clearly a through line and there nobody seems to care like at all. We had a plane touchdown in Moscow. Nobody just a random day in 1994. Just kidding, it's 2026. What do you mean?
So the USS Lincoln is headed home. Our understanding is that it went to Thailand, and now the USS Washington has relieved them. So they are no longer in service, but they are the longest in service on one deployment, which, we know an officer, well, I guess several have actually tried to commit suicide, and one was successful in jumping over. And I'm going to play this clip for you guys. I think it's like gut-wrenching and just outrageous.
Military that downplays its frontline heroes to avoid uncomfortable political truths only projects weakness. The world watches how we treat our heroes. When they see a United States that fiercely defends, champions, and unties the hands of its warfighters.
The world watches how we treat our heroes.
A 19-year-old sailor
who had been on a record-long deployment, a sailor who was clearly struggling with his mental health while on the USS Lincoln during a war that has never been explained by the commander-in-chief. He was struggling so much that he jumped overboard and is now being punished for it. More specifically, the charging documents, which were reviewed by Amos Now, show that the sailor has been accused of violating Article 83 for malingering, which is defined as a service member, quote, intentionally faking an illness or hurting themselves to avoid work, duty, or service. Essentially, they are accusing him of faking mental illness. And they're also accusing him of violating Article 86 for, quote, absence without leave, which means a service member failed to be at their required place of duty without proper authority. Now, the sailor's wife told Amos Now, I think they're insane for doing this to people who need mental help, because instead of giving them help, this is just another huge stressor.
So instead of getting him the help, the mental services, the therapies that he needs, they're going to punish him. Now, I posted this last night. Somebody was like, I guess you don't understand the military. Both can be possible. He can get help and they can discipline him.
Liars.
Discipline him for what? They're embarrassed that he actually exposed the fact of how they're treated. He was part of that, and that he was actually like so distressed that he actually tried to end his life. I don't think that deserves punishment. Like, I don't think any.
I'm sorry, but you don't jump off a ship to
Yeah.
get attention. You don't jump off a ship. You don't pretend. I mean, I'm sorry,
This is
but
a
it's
man-
right
wasn't
up
this a
there
man
with
that-
we're hearing about, you know, the black lynchings and these folks being found, you know, being hanged from trees. That shit just doesn't happen, okay? It doesn't happen.
Isn't this the man that had a son, like that he hadn't seen yet, like a 6-month-old?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah,
so.
you don't jump off of a ship if you haven't seen your baby, like without some sort of a
He's
mental health
19.
crisis.
He's in my book, that's a kid. I mean,
That's
like,
a baby.
So, yeah.
There's a couple things. Number one, I have a friend who, when I was in high school still, he had graduated and moved on. I'm still friends with him. And he was 18 at the time. And as a high school teacher, I know that they are very predatory in how they come to schools and the kinds of kids that they target specifically to come join the military. And they are typically kids that don't have as much money. They're in marginalized groups. In our school, they went for the Latino community very specifically. They give you this speech about like helping your country and being patriotic and honorable, but also it's that like machismo kind of like, you're going to be like, we're going to like, it's going to be awesome. Right. Like, and it's like that buddy kind of like, come serve your country. But then when they get there, because they always come back and visit us, they're miserable. They're not doing what they're told that they were going to do because they use them as pawns. They stick them where they need to. They drop them on these ships to rot. This isn't where the money isn't going to them, right? It's going to these contractors. It's not going to the sailors and the soldiers. And so then when they get in this kind of position, they're also discouraged from getting therapy. Like it's basically they're told if you go get therapy, it ends up going on your record and it becomes a problem later. And so you're basically taught that even though there is therapy, it's not accessible therapy and people don't do it. And
no, if you're choosing a military career, you don't want that on your record.
Right. And
You
that's
don't.
because once again, here we have this alpha male energy that they're intentionally creating so that there is no recourse for you, so that there is no accountability. So, I mean, it might have been previously to train them for wars, but now it's because we want to have people on every continent. We want to have people in every escalation or in every conflict and escalate things because that makes them more money, right? That makes Republicans more money. So they're recruiting people not because we need to protect our country, but because they want to escalate and create more money and contracts for them. And that alpha male mentality is what perpetuates this and the closed circle, the necessity and all the indoctrination of it. It's just a wild.
Well, let's
Can I just
acknowledge
also-
that it's a million times worse under Pete Hegseth. Like,
Yes.
this man is not helping things. He's making it much worse.
And can I just add that Trump's sons are now in the picture, getting billions of dollars, $6.3
Really
billion
important part.
in federal financing loans and contracts.
No bid contracts.
No bid contracts. Over $1 billion in no bid contracts.
For military, for military,
For military.
services, for drones, for spyware, for yeah.
And
And you
Trump
know
is
what?
a draft dodger. And
You know what?
Yeah.
That's what Republicans think DEI is, though. I'd like to point that out. It's not what DEI is, but that's what they call it, right? That's nepotism. That's you're getting a handout for free that you didn't work for, that you didn't earn, that you're not qualified for. That's not what DEI is, but that's what Trump is doing with his kids, and that's what y'all think it is.
And the thing about it is that he's making these decisions that are making his companies and his investments tons and tons of money. Trump's wealth grew by 87% in 2025. 87%.
So isn't it over $200 billion? It's some crazy number at this point. And I know it's not all cash. I get it, but it never is with billionaires. So whatever. Like, I'm just saying, it's some absurd amount of money.
I mean, it's funny that he got so much money from crypto, and so many of the people that bought the crypto lost so much money. So that's
right.
Typical.
And
crypto.
He had over 21,000 trades in 2025. That's the equivalent of one trade every 5 minutes that the stock market was open. To put that in perspective, Joe Biden only made 13 trades the entire 4 years of his presidency.
Yeah.
I would like to show a visual. Remember this when he got arrested?
Yes.
And yes, what is it? Inmate P01135809. He had to take out loans. Okay. He didn't have enough money to get his ass out of jail. He had to borrow money. And now he lied. He lied and said he was a billionaire. He lied and said he was a millionaire.
Really is.
Now he is. Because of us. Based on our taxpayer dollars are paying for his wealth, and it's really
it's all at our expense. He was never paying for the ballroom. His rich friends were never paying for the ballroom. We clocked that the minute he said it, and it's going to be our tax dollars. So here's another clip. As if that wasn't bad enough, the young man being disciplined.
Troops fighting against Iran and alleged drug smugglers say they are being asked to violate international law. Priya reported on the skyrocketing number of troops who are seeking a formal discharge from the military because what they saw in recent months challenged their moral beliefs. An Army veteran of the Iraq War who runs a hotline to help service members file applications to become what are called conscientious objectors said that his group, the Center on Conscience and War, has seen those applications jump 6 times their normal rate since the start of the Iran war. I must now actually talk to 5 service members who've started applications to leave the military. And the reasons they cited for changing their beliefs since they joined included being ordered to violate international law, seeing the civilian death toll as a result of American military intervention surge, and their concerns over extended deployments with no clear mission or strategy.
I think these people did not sign up for this shit. And I don't blame them. I do not blame them. I mean, they're talking about religion in the military. We've reported on that on previous shows. It's just, I don't blame them. People join the military for a lot of reasons.
How his wife is in all his meetings, and that's just wild. Yeah.
It is wild.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me show you guys this news clip that we all kind of were like, what the fuck? We all got the alert, but here's the evening news.
Trump's attempt to limit mail-in ballots ahead of the midterm elections.
Oops.
And what the justices have now decided tonight.
The Supreme Court giving President Trump the green light to implement key parts of an executive order aimed at limiting access to mail-in ballots while the issue works its way through the lower courts. Inside that executive order requiring the Department of Homeland Security to create a national registry for eligible voters and ordering that the post office only send out ballots to those on those government lists. But there are court battles still playing out here, and it's unclear if this will be in place by those November midterms. The first ballots of those midterms expected to go out in the mail next week.
All right, Joe, I know you have something to say, so jump in.
The optimistic view of this is that it is just saying that the issue was not ripe yet, that it is not a decision on the merits of the case. It is that the states brought the suit too early, that there hadn't been harm done. But I would argue that if that is the case, then that completely negates the purpose of the Supreme Court in determining things that are constitutional and not constitutional. That a parallel would be, okay, so that means that Trump can run in 2028, win, and we couldn't do anything about it until he's inaugurated in January of 2029 because the actual harm hasn't been done until then. And that is on its face ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, we can't wait until we're not able to vote properly to find those out. Here's the thing too, though. Like, I think one of the first things I remember seeing after this decision came about was, oh, don't panic. Listen, I don't care about panicking. Call it what you want, but we have time to prepare. And I feel like we should be putting out messaging that everybody, because I'm a vote by mail. In California, we're pretty much a vote by mail state. Most people vote by mail. Everybody gets a ballot. You can go in person. You can go. We voting centers. It doesn't have to be a precinct, like a pre-assigned precinct. You can go. I can go by my office. I can go by the grocery store. I can go wherever and vote. Right. I'm not going to do that. I mean, I'm going to vote in person. I'm not going to be mailing in my ballot this time. I'm not taking a chance. What I'm afraid of, and it's not panicking. What happens when because we already know he's going to try and challenge the results of the election. So are these ballots going to be tied up in court? I don't want my ballot tied up in court. So if you can, what I would encourage people to do, make your plan to vote. And that plan should include either voting in person or using a drop box in a safe location. The mail should be not part of your plan, in my opinion.
And the point is, this doesn't have to work, right, on its face. Our elections, so many of our elections are so close that all it has to do is move the needle the slightest little bit. All it has to do is convince some people to not vote, to think that their mail-in ballot is not going to go through, and to make a plan to vote in person and then that to fall through because it's raining that day, or who knows.
People should vote early anyway. Just don't take a chance.
Well, there are lots of states.
You got tornadoes. You got, this
do
is
not
crazy
have
times.
early voting, and I'm in a relatively liberal state given everything in Pennsylvania, but that's going to be just enough in certain districts, in certain places to move the needle just enough to get just enough Republicans elected that will allow him to continue to do what he needs to do.
And I think the point you started to make is very important because we who live in blue states or blue states in particular, we have a much easier time voting. And anyone that lives in a red state knows that it's not the case. We've talked about this many times, is they move polling locations at the last minute. There's always shenanigans, and we do not have that, problem in California. Go ahead, Michelle.
Can I actually vent? I feel like I need to vent.
Please do. Vent.
When this story came out, I just posted the story. I didn't post, I didn't make any claims or, I did make a second post below it, basically saying, make a plan. And there were, I love my friends so much, but I had a lot of folks going, oh, don't worry.
Yeah, I'm not.
Bison said this and what. Here's the thing. I'm old enough to remember that they overturned Roe. I'm old enough to remember that they overturned the Chevron doctrine. I'm old enough to remember when immigration issues came up and they basically told Trump and ICE that they could, pull people off the streets based on whatever color they were. They basically gave the president free reign to do whatever, because he's a president. He can do whatever the hell he wants, basically, right? I'm sorry. I feel like we need to make a plan. I'm not going to be waiting.
No, we're
going
to share.
And the disability community. I'm part of the disability community. I vote by mail because it's very difficult for me sometimes. I can't guarantee what kind of day I'm going to have, right? I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to go to a voting booth and vote. So yeah, maybe I've gotten used to being able to vote by mail, and I don't want to say I take it for granted. I don't. But I so appreciate it. Like it makes my life so much easier. And one of the things I have to point out too, that I think kind of ties into this, because I'm always like, why is he so like after mail-in voting? Because it's actually really hard to mess with, believe it or not.
It's a federal crime to tamper with the mail, to tamper with the U.S. mail.
It's incredibly difficult. But as somebody who's part of the disability community, I have to say that I know quite a few folks who depend on doing it by mail.
So what's going to be your plan this in November?
I'm literally gonna try to have my ballot, because usually I wait. You know how we Californians kind of wait because we're like,
well, this time especially. I mean,
yeah.
when we just had our primary, I think for the November.
So we kind of waited until the last minute. I'm not doing that this year. This election, I'm actually going to have that ballot as soon as I get it. I will have it ready to go within a few days. And when I'm having a good day, that's where I'm going, is to the voting booth.
So here's the thing: you can fill out your ballot, folks. And well, I'm speaking from what I know in California. You can fill out your ballot and seal it, sign it, and somebody in your family can drop it in the drop box. It does not have to be you. If you don't have time to go to a voting center and actually vote at that time, have someone else drop it off for you if you trust.
So I'm lucky because our voting center, where we normally vote here in my town, they have a drop box right there in the parking lot too. So either way. But
if you are voting in person,
it's open, I'm handing it to somebody in person. Yeah. That's my goal. Yeah.
And if you are voting in person, fill out your sample ballot in advance and literally just go in there and copy everything. Don't make your decisions in the voting booth. Make that shit move. Like, keep it moving so there's no lines, or the lines are short. I realize you may be on the fence on some things. Figure it out before you go. That's
yeah.
fine.
I'm curious too. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like before mail-in voting was a thing, I feel like I would walk into the booth. I just felt nervous. I felt like I wasn't making the right choice. Like I felt like I just didn't have access to the right information sometimes. And I do remember a few times voting where there were things that would come up on the ballot and I would be like, oh, I wasn't even aware of this. And I didn't even know what it was. I didn't, an amendment or a prop here in California. So I think voting by mail has allowed me, and I know a lot of my neighbors and community members, the opportunity to vote smart, right? You have the time, you have the ability to look up the information, to search up people now. And I think that's a problem. I think that's a problem for Republicans, because we are now a very informed electorate. And I think,
but you can do that. You can do that voting in person. I always fill out my sample ballot. In fact, we've even had, like, I don't want to say a party, but we've had get-togethers where we're all trying to. In California, you know this, Michelle. It's not just the candidates. We have these propositions that are notoriously confusing. Like, it's like, okay, are we supposed to vote yes? Exactly. Does yes mean no, or does no? It's always this, and it takes some research. And so I always fill out my sample ballot in advance. Even if I'm mailing it in, I fill out the sample ballot and just literally copy it over. So I have time to, like, oops, no, X, change that out. And then when I go in person, I'm literally copying the what I've done on my sample ballot. The last time I voted in person was 2020 for Joe Biden in the height of COVID, because I wanted to vote in person. That time I was like, I want to make sure, that it's, everything. And so
I handed it in. I filled out my ballot and I handed it to a person in the voting booth. Yeah. So, but
my wife, did the drop box at the senior. She dropped it off at a senior center. So we also have, I don't know if you have it in your state, Chris, or you, Casey, but we have ballot tracking that you can subscribe to. And so you know where your ballot is at all times. You know it's on the way to you. If you use the mail, it's been picked up. so that you get a notification. We've picked up your ballot when it arrives at the not the Secretary of State, the election board. You get a notification your ballot has been received and will be counted. You know it's not snatched. Well, my wife didn't get her notification from the Dropbox, which the Dropbox as it gets closer to the election, they pick them up every day. She didn't get a notification, so she was like, she called the LA County Election Board. They're like, well, I'm sure it's fine. She was following up. She was emailing. Finally, she got the notice from Ballot Tracker, but a lot later than I did, and I did mine in the mail. So,
well, yeah, and I also want to point out to folks, pay attention, because there was some shenanigans back. I think maybe it was 4 or 6 years ago. And the person who comes to mind was Michelle Steele, the Republican rep in California.
She's awful.
They had makeshift, I'm going to be careful with my language. They had makeshift drop boxes in.
What does that mean? That's no.
They weren't legit. Okay. And they were basically harvesting ballots.
Hell no.
Yeah.
I'm also very.
So
I don't even use a Dropbox.
Be careful where you drop off your box.
Yeah, they have them on. They have them in certain, like on the actual street here, like on a corner in Los Angeles. There's one that I can think of that's in front of a library. I'm not doing that either because people can throw soda pop in there. Like what? No, my wife used a senior center and it's in a secure. It's gated. So it's like, so that's reasonably secure, or inside of a library or something like that. But just on a street corner, I'm not about that. That's just me.
So they, right when we were getting on the line, right before we got on the line, a judge blocks the mail-in voting plan again.
Oh, good.
So, which is what we expected to see, because it's obviously too close to the election to actually implement something like that. Like, really feasibly.
Shame on the Supreme Court, by the way.
Yeah, 70-something days before the election. Come on.
Yeah. And they've made other decisions where I can't remember what it was, but where they're like, oh, it's too close to the election. There was something else. It was something else in Trump's favor that time, though. And I don't remember what it was.
They've done it a lot of times in his favor, so it's kind of hard to tell. It's hard to remember. It's hard to keep track of it all.
I have already talked about this at length. Not on my channels yet.
Well,
but
we have a clip from an expert talking about the unconstitutionality of this, so we'll just play that for a sec.
The first part of the executive order is the list sharing, but people should not be too alarmed. As the Roberts Court said, Trump has the right to direct a list to be shared. Nothing has to be done with those lists, Vaughn. And then the second part is the unconstitutional interference of the Postal Service with the delivery of mail-in ballots. Postal Service is supposed to be a neutral common carrier. They are not a voting administrator. It's unconstitutional. It's illegal. Congress hasn't authorized it. Neither of the states. They're the appropriate parties. That's what we've gone to court to prove. I feel confident that we are going to win on that point, and everybody will be able to vote absentee or mail-in, just like usual. But we're going to have to keep fighting. We do recognize that.
Are you race baiting? Is that what's happening here?
The president, under the Constitution, has no business messing about with making lists of voters and telling the Postal Service they're going to choose who is and is not on the list and the barcodes. No. That is the job of Congress, which has passed no such law. It is the job of the states, which have passed no such law. And the president cannot tell the Postal Service to pick and choose who gets the vote. So we have filed a complaint with bipartisan team, Campaign Legal Center and Democracy Defenders. Campaign Legal Center was started by the amazing Trevor Potter, Republican, former FEC chair, and representing the LULAC, our nation's largest, most prominent Latino organization, and counties and other groups, Harris County, because this is a mess for everybody. It's unconstitutional. We've gone to court. We're going to stop it.
Charlie Brown here is right. Lucy is going to hold the football this time.
I was going to say, those strongly worded emails get them every time. I made a video quite a little bit, but not as much as I wanted to. And so everyone's going to hear me say this right now. I think the people that are telling you to be calm are being irresponsible, and it bothers me because we have normalized the fact that a sitting fucking executive is trying to take away your right to vote, and that's crazy. And while I understand that they don't want people panicking or making mistakes, I agree we should channel this.
I don't even think it's necessary to say don't panic. Like, what are you talking
should just fuel it.
Just make a plan.
That's right.
We should use this opportunity to message a plan.
But it's like everybody took to social media and was like, let me calm you down. No, that's not my job.
Do
my
not
job
calm me
is
down.
Not to encourage you
I don't
to
want
do
to be
these
calmed
things.
down right now.
I mean,
that's right. The response
this
should
is
be,
just-
here's the CTA. Here's what to do.
Let me
This
help
is what
you.
happens. Here's what
let me
to
use
do.
my anger, and I'll use it to drive people to the freaking.
There should be
voting poll, right. I
no,
will
let me
use that
calm
to
you.
help my neighbor. Yeah,
There should
exactly.
be no, don't worry. You should worry. You should
we
worry.
should be-
Everybody should be worried. We've under worried about this. That's the problem. We've
Organized.
We've assumed that that
Organized,
the
that's
laws are going to save us.
He's been
And so
saying he's gonna
instead,
do it too. So like, it's
that's
just
right.
like, I feel like
So-
it feels so Roe
Here's what I
versus
have to
Wade
say.
to me, you
Have
guys,
you been paying
because we
attention?
kind of knew it was
Have
coming.
you been paying attention for all these months? Trump is threatening to do this, that, and the other with our elections. They're going to put ICE. They already are in Maine, in other states. This is one of the things he's trying. There will be more, but don't panic, but don't just think it's nothing.
I mean,
It's
I
something.
don't want to
don't
see
worry
people
about it.
being like, I don't want to see people being like, oh, everything's ruined and we can't, right? I'm not saying be dejected and defeated. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying be mad and let's go do something about it, because the reality is that telling people to oh no, we got this, or oh, it's fine, it's good. No, it's not fine. Nothing's fine about it. You should be worried. You should be concerned. You should be plugging people and you should be getting your neighbors worried and getting them involved too. We have a history of needing to be rage baited as a public, and you can see that because that's why the Republican Party is so effective, because they rage bait and they fearmonger and their people show up, and ours don't, because we're constantly talking people down off of a cliff for some fucking reason. I don't know why. I don't know why we have to have everybody on sedatives at this point. I get it. Go take your Xanax and your Zoloft and then show up and let's organize people to do things, plug in.
You can do both.
You can take a
Organize.
minute. You can take a minute to be mad about a decision like this, even if it's not going to be in play, or you think it's not going to be in play, whatever. In any situation, you should still have a minute to recognize the grandness of this, the significance of this, of what he's trying to do. And we need to have commentary on that and reaction to that, because that's what people need to see to get them angry enough to get up and register people to vote and to make sure that they're taking their ballots to polling places and all the things that you guys have been
And
talking
we should
about.
have teams of our own election watchers, teams of people, our own election security. We should have teams of people who go door to door, knocking on people's doors and saying, have you double checked and triple checked your voter registration? Because in Texas, they took 1 million voters off the voting rolls in 2024. And in Georgia, and there are people who make it their hobby to send people postcards to see if they're still living there, and they target communities of color and Hispanic names, and if you don't return that postcard, your name gets taken off the voter roll. So if you get one of those postcards,
Not just that, but there were actual people who took it upon themselves to challenge ballots.
Right.
No reason, no rhyme or reason. They just thousands and thousands of people, and I believe that was in Georgia. They're doing everything they can.
Lawyers at the top that figured things out, and then they trickled that down through their very organized coalitions that they made in grassroots efforts, and just in general, people that were pissed off, right? People, again, the Republicans been bought into this idea that the Democrats are the enemy and that we're so bad. And so what they're doing is this evangelicism of voter stuff on their own as fucking, how we go run or knit or maybe garden. These people are out doing this shit. That's what they're doing in their free time for fun, is derailing democracy, because they think there's some sort of I don't know, Jesus for like democracy, but in reality, they're tearing it down, and they don't know that. And we're not going to save them right now. So we have
And
to get
Casey,
everybody
I want to say thank you for matching my energy tonight. Thank you.
So I want to bring to everybody's
That's where I'm
attention.
at.
Chris has already heard it. I've been yelling at him because I'm like so mad. I keep seeing content creators that are like, it's, you know what, it's fine. We all just have to show up. And I'm like, that's not going to get people to show up. And I also don't think
I bet you they weren't from red states, people saying that. Like they're blue dots in red states know how much work it is to vote. So yesterday, a coalition of blue states filed lawsuit, 23 states. So, that's great. They were ready. And if you want to look at your screen, see if your state's on there. My state is, let's see, Virginia is on there. Pennsilvania is there for sure. So this is 23 states plus Washington, D.C. So, they all joined together.
I will say there are a lot of good groups, like Democracy Forward is a really good group to follow if you aren't already. Democracy Docket, like they're obviously Brennan Center for Justice, ACLU. These are all groups that are doing really good work and that are responding and anticipating. These are groups that are anticipating, so they're in there in the courts. And so while I'm not like over functioning and taking that role, like I'm not taking that on because I know there are people plugged in and doing that work. What I am going to do is continue to amplify this and work with Chris. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, about how we're going to have an election special and what we're going to try to do to help everybody prepare. And everybody needs to be getting plugged in with at least like, some kind of local group or a group that's got something happening that's local to you in your state, and pull at least one friend in. Like that's my minimum bare minimum ask, is that you pull one friend into this work with you, getting them to help share things and amplify things. And if we all did that,
volunteering is empowering. So when you're like all nervous, like I am nervous and I am frustrated, I am angry and I am sad and I am sometimes very unhappy about the state of things. But when I volunteer, when I make those phone calls, I feel so flippin' good about myself because I'm like, I'm making a difference. And when I talk to a voter and I change their mind or I remind them to vote and they forgot or something like that, I know for sure I made a difference. And we need armies of volunteers. We need armies of people. You might not like cold calling. Okay, first of all, I just want to let you know that nobody gets your personal information because we use an app. You go onto a Zoom, they train you, they tell you exactly what you need to say, what you need to do, how to use the app. They talk about the candidate. It's really great, especially when you're helping a candidate that's like so awesome. There's some really awesome candidates. And then if you don't want to cold call people, you can call volunteers and remind them about their shifts. Or you can write postcards, which is like an art project with your family. And you can not only write postcards yourselves and make these phone calls yourself, you find every single one of your friends that are liberally minded and you tell them, democracy is at stake. Look at the prices. Look at the corruption. You can't just sit this one out. We're headed towards like Nazi Germany. We got people in concentration camps. We've got kids being tortured. We've got women that are being forcibly sterilized in these camps. You can't sit it out. You've got to work. You've got to fight for our future. Look at the environment, all this stuff.
I don't know how anybody can think things are going well right now. I mean, I think anybody that's gone to the store or the gas station or seen their checking account has to know like things are not going well. Like even aside from all the other human rights like violations and other problems, and the fact that he's trying to literally steal an election like by disenfranchising like a bunch of people and not letting them vote. Oh, that's terrible. But like I can't imagine that anybody's really like unless you're like a billionaire,
I don't know,
like.
Chris had a couple videos that he shared this week, and I was like, "What?"
But doing something makes you feel good, and you meet fun people. You meet really cool people, and you'll see the same people if you volunteer for the same orgs. You'll see the same people again and again. It's a great way to make friends and reach out and have community, especially if you're a blue dot in a red state. That's a great way to meet friends.
The postcards are super easy to do. I let my kids do artwork on them. So if you are interested in doing that, just again, I would remind you that some make you pay for postage and others cover the postage. So please check to make sure like you're doing what you can afford to do.
Right.
All right, y'all, it's 68 days until the election. November 3rd is only 68 days away. It's getting tight. We are, the reformers are highlighting 2 candidates weekly. And it honestly, like, we started off with the Senate because we felt like that was kind of on the horizon as a possibility. It is now a very real possibility, thankfully. But we are also highlighting,
I was like, who told you that? I'm just glad that people are starting to be excited about that. That's great.
So we were highlighting Senate candidates, and we still are, but we're also highlighting representatives that are in flippable seats, and even governors. We're trying to focus on people going forward that actually need a little more help than others. So maybe we're not focusing on your favorite candidate because your favorite candidate is doing just fine, and they don't necessarily need as much support. We need to support them all, but we can only do so much. So we're doing 2 a week. We are definitely not going to get to everyone by November 3rd, but we're trying. So tonight we are, first, Midterm Madness. Let's focus on, let's go back. We highlighted Annie Andrews a couple weeks ago. And we've talked about her a few times on the show anyway. But then we have Darlene Graham, who, I don't know. She's a hot mess to me. Like, I don't understand. I really don't understand. Like, I get tribalism. I get like, I want to vote for a Democrat. I want to vote for a Republican. But honestly, if you had a Democrat that was as nonsensical as this with no experience, I don't think I could do it, y'all. I just couldn't. So we have a couple clips here. Let's highlight this one. And this is, let's just play it.
Government-run health care, abortion until the moment of birth, bad idea after bad idea. Annie Andrews backs them all. I have a different background and vision for our state. I'm a hard worker with a servant's heart. I grew up in the back of a bar and liquor store in one room in central South Carolina. My parents worked long, hard hours to make ends meet. We didn't take vacations. If they were sick, they had to get up and go to work because the doors weren't open, we weren't making money. My mother passed away when I was 11 and my father just over a year later.
So her parents died.
Her mom died.
Both of her parents died when she was young, and her brother was young.
11.
So her argument for health care is that her parents didn't have health care, and we shouldn't have health care. Like, I'm so.
And they lived until I was 11 years old.
This is why I said, how much of the Democratic agenda does she plan to advertise for us? Is it just going to be reproductive health care and healthcare, or like will it be other things? Because that, I was cracking up when I heard that, and I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm sorry that her parents died. I guess, like, I don't know. She seems like a terrible person, but like,
I don't understand.
but I'm just saying, like, it's like when you hear that, oh, they had to. It's like those people that are like, well, I had to struggle, so you should have to struggle. Like, you know
But
what?
that's
The government can do
Republican-
things.
that's
I
their
know.
thing.
That's their thing. But here's the thing. Your parents don't have to die. Like, you can actually elect somebody that's a doctor, and your parents can live, and you can also make money and enjoy your life.
I'm so
like,
sorry.
Imagine
trying to give health care. It's just terrible.
Imagine if her parents did have health care,
Right.
how much longer they would have lived. And
I mean, or
You know,
reasonable
it's
wages so
wild.
that they could actually take a break and go to the doctor and close those doors. Because she's like, oh, they had to stay open, or they, that's not success, ma'am. That's not a great system. Like that, you don't come from a great system, and it's not great now. He didn't make it great.
Chris, do you have the clip where she talks about foreign policy?
We showed that. I don't. We showed that last week. But that was. You mean when she doesn't talk about foreign policy because she doesn't know shit?
She doesn't know.
But
I don't know
that was
anything
before the
about
primary.
policy.
They had the opportunity to be like, no. I mean,
She-
not that the
she
other
won
guy
on
was
that
great. I
message.
can't remember his name, but he was not that great either.
She won on that message. That's right. Also, she did say her idea of gun control is holding the weapons steady. So if you're wondering.
Okay, let's listen. So we're showing this because Annie Andrews has a response.
said there was that her healthcare plan is you should work hard until you die. I'm a physician who's worked on the front lines of America's broken healthcare system for 20 years, taking care of South Carolina's sick and injured children. I've sat with parents who are concerned that they're not going to be able to afford their child's insulin or their child's asthma inhaler. I've talked to parents who show up at the emergency department unexpectedly with a sick or injured child who now are worried they're going to be thrown into bankruptcy. I believe that we deserve better. I believe that Darlene's parents deserved better. I believe that healthcare is a human right, that we must shift America's profit-motivated healthcare system to a patient-centered healthcare system that actually meets the needs of everyone in this country. I believe we need to stop the impending Medicaid budget cuts. These are the urgent problems I'm hearing from South Carolina voters. Darlene is resorting to culture war topics that have no basis in reality. And I continue to crisscross the state of South Carolina, talking to voters about what they're really concerned about. They're frustrated that Trump ran on lowering grocery prices and not starting new wars, and he's done the exact opposite of that. People are ready for something different, and if South Carolina voters are ready to try something different, they can check me out at drannieandrews.com.
So everything she said there is like pitch perfect. I'm just gonna say one criticism: say it slower, girl. Get like, those all are so important. She just blew right through it, and like slow it down.
They might have given her a time limit though.
She's going to be interrupted.
They might have given her a time limit, but I would also like to say the one thing I do think she left out, and I think it's important to talk about, is to bring the economics into this, because a lot of Republicans don't care about human rights, and even moderates. Like that's not a selling point to them. Like, don't come and tell them that we can do better because we should patient center things. People don't care about that. Tell them why, because we do know this, and there are studies that show this, that when you start covering people and you start creating systems that aren't like for-profit corporations, that actually it eventually does, like we talked about earlier, build everybody up, right? And it's economically sustainable that way. This is clearly not. This system is not economically sustainable. We're seeing that now. And so I think that more Democrats need to bring those numbers in and bring that in. It doesn't need to be a huge dissertation. Just bring in a quick saying to say, this is actually going to save you more money. This is going to protect your retirement. This is going to mean that you get to retire on time.
I don't know how anyone can hear her and Annie Andrews. I mean, Graham, and think, oh yeah, let me go for Graham. Like, what is the reasoning there? I've seen some interviews where they're like, well, she's going to carry forward the policies of Lindsey Graham. Like, okay, he wasn't for healthcare either.
I mean, she makes
Michelle,
Lindsey Graham look good.
Huh?
Yeah, she does.
She really does. At least, I mean, she knew foreign policy. He knew foreign policy at least. You know,
I think
we
we really need to. Unfortunately, I don't know how we get to these folks. I know she's doing it. I know she's going door to door. She's on it. But you know, the reality is we have folks who literally right now are saying, you know, I can't vote for a communist lib.
Right.
That's
really
their mindset. Like, stop it. Like, stop it. I hope you have it, and I hope you're going to share it. That video of the woman who was talking about her daughters.
I don't think I have that.
Do you know? Yeah, maybe show that next time. That was really powerful. Or maybe it was Casey who shared it.
You do have it.
But
you do have it.
It was.
You have it?
Yeah,
you
it
have
was
it, and I will.
Oh, that.
Thank you.
Yeah. We do have it. It's later.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just do want to highlight her, because even though she sounds amazing and Graham sounds like a train wreck, this is not going to be an easy state to win for Annie Andrews for a lot of reasons. So help her spread her message. This is her social media post up here, and I thought it was just chef's kiss, the sister versus the doctor. And that's really, honestly, her only qualifications that she's a sister. And Annie Andrews, you can just, every interview, she's just amazing. Here's one last clip before we move on.
I'm not a communist. The fact that this is what Republicans are saying about me tells you everything you need to know, that they don't have a record to run on right now. They don't have a plan to lower the cost of groceries or gas or prescription drugs. They don't have a plan to make housing more affordable or to make sure you can afford and find childcare in your neighborhood. So they're going to revert to these hyper-partisan talking points that do nothing to actually solve the problems of the day. There is so much more that unites us than divides us. Our social media algorithms, cable news would have us believe otherwise. But one of the cornerstones of my campaign is that we're bringing people together across political aisles. I have Republicans at nearly all of my events. I was just at an amazing event at the Beacon in Spartanburg on Sunday. There were some young Republicans who were there who were just looking for something new and something different. So I'm excited for this campaign to continue to bring people across South Carolina together, to remind us that there's so much more that unites us than divides us, and we have to work together if we want to move forward together.
She's amazing.
I just saw an update from Brennan Center that there was another federal judge court granted voting rights groups emergency request. Oh wait, that's the same one. Okay, thought it was a different one because it was like a new update.
So nothing bad.
Oh no.
Nothing else
I thought
bad.
it was for a second.
Okay.
I was like, oh no.
Okay. All right. All right.
Really
So
nervous.
back. So the candidates we're
midterm
highlighting.
madness.
The candidates we're highlighting this week are Randy Villegas. He's California 22, and Troy Jackson. We know he's U.S. Senate for Maine. So let's talk about Randy Villegas. I don't know if you all are familiar with him, but these are some of the graphics that we have. So just to back up a little bit, so Texas did their thing with redistricting. And in response, California did our thing with redistricting. It was called Prop 50. And we did some redistricting here in California. This is one of the districts that is now flippable. It was solid red, and now it's flippable. So Randy Villegas is the Democratic nominee for California 22. So I'm going to continue here. We're going to take this opportunity and flip this seat. He is from the Central Valley. He's a son of immigrants. In California, we are a minority state. We have a huge immigrant population. First, second, third generation immigrants here. So this is important in this state. He's a first generation college graduate. What I love about that is I feel like he's been through all these things that people are fighting for. He's a community college professor. He was a school board trustee. These are all great things, right? So education changed his life. So he's really a proponent of public schools, affordable college. And I think not enough people talk about trade schools and job training. You don't have to go to a 4-year university. You can be very successful in a apprenticeship, a vocational training of some kind. And I think more candidates, I love that this is part of his platform to highlight that, to promote that. People are going into debt, going to college, going to universities. Unfortunately, we do not have a Democratic president at this time. He is not a friend to student loans forgiveness. So I think people should keep that in mind when they're thinking about their future education. Like, think about what you're going to major in, what your job prospects are going to be, what that education is going to be, and maybe rethink a little bit. But we have the choices are ours, right? What's next here? So he's from the Central Valley. He knows the importance of water, family farms. A lot of these farms, there's corporate farms, yes, but there's also family farms that are really important. So he's outspoken on that. And then Central Valley jobs. He grew up on Medicaid. I think this is such an important point. He is a friend to healthcare. So he's running for Congress to protect Medicaid. Sorry. What else we got He believes he wants comprehensive immigration reform, which I would say a lot of candidates, Republicans used to talk about this all day long. Oh, we need immigration reform, but first we have to protect the border. So I think we need to get back to this. I think most Democrats aren't for open borders. Like, I don't know too many who are, but we are not for inhumane treatment. We're not for breaking up families. And for you to have my support, I need to know that you are protecting dreamers. This is like a non-negotiable, in my opinion. These are people who were young children. They are part of our society. They are contributing to society. They are contributing to our economy. They do not deserve to be sent to a country that they do not know. It does not make any sense. And so, yeah, I'm glad he's talking about that. I'm sharing all the little things I like about him when I did my research. A lot of people are, economics, he's talking about lowering costs, good paying jobs, affordable housing, affordable healthcare, which we've kind of highlighted. He's sworn to take no money from corporate PACs. So that's a lot of people, that's important. I'm gonna just say this right now. It is not important to me because we are fighting Republicans who take a lot of money from PACs. I think if we ban Citizens United, let's have that discussion, but that is not a deal breaker. It may be a deal breaker for you, and that's your thing. It's not a deal breaker.
We got to compete somehow. I'm sorry, but
what?
We got to win.
We have to compete.
I've said this before. Republicans are outraising. They are getting $5 for every $1 a Democrat has in their funding. So
once we change the system, and we should change the system, then we'll talk about it. But we've got to compete, and we've got to win, and we've got to support every Democrat in every primary, or not every primary, every primary winner across the country. Once the primary is over, support the Democrat, because what's the alternative? Having a Republican-controlled Congress again, where you're going to have a Republican in control of the House of Representatives during the presidential election? What would happen? What would happen if, who knows what could happen if the Democrats win the presidency in 2028, which, oh God, please let that happen. And then the Republicans decide that they're not going to certify the election. We have got to win. We've got to flip the House. So we have got to contribute, because we need to donate, because a lot of Democrats aren't taking PAC money. So we've got to make up that money. And even $2 makes a difference. Even $2 can help.
Yeah,
not everybody can afford it, but
I want to go back to Randy real quick though. Like, he had my heart at no data centers, because especially here in California, in that area, it's a problem.
Yeah, I don't think he's saying. Well, maybe he is saying no data centers, but what he did that was really
he's saying moratorium. I mean,
there is a 1 year moratorium. He has called for a 1 year moratorium, which I think is the correct thing to do. We don't have to rush into this shit. AI is here to stay. There's got to be some solutions. Like, there's some smart people out there. And I think if we're going to do data centers, they need to be done the right way. We need to talk about how to protect water. These are the things he's talking about. How to not.
But that district it's so problematic because it's already, unless you're from California, you probably don't know. But that area tends to the farmland, et cetera. If it's not happening, if farms aren't happening, there's legal things going on. They're taking over farms. And what do they want to put in there? Data centers. So,
And just so you know, 2/3 of all the fruits and nuts in this entire country come from
that area.
1/3 of the vegetables, and mainly from that area, and 80% of the wine. So
they love to hate us. They love to hate. Republicans love to hate California, but without California, they'd starve to death. I wanted to highlight that Democrats are united on Randy Villegas. He has a lot of strong supporters. Endorsements from Bernie Sanders, AOC, Nancy Pelosi, Alex Padilla, Adam Schiff, Pete Aguilar, Ro Khanna, Dolores Huerta. Now, this is a very mixed coalition. I'm of the mind right now, I think endorsements are overrated at this point because I've seen some very bizarre.
Well, he's got them all, so.
But he's got a very strong coalition from the far left, the middle. I mean, so I think
He's across the
this
board.
says a lot about this man, and I think a lot of people think this seat is flippable. This is his opponent, David Valadao. He has been in Congress. He voted to repeal the ACA. They fired his ass. He's back, and he voted for massive Medicaid cuts, right? And he wants to do it again. So don't put him back. Do not bring him back to Washington.
Please don't.
And so they are really polar opposites here. And that's our guy, Randy V.
And just to add one thing in about Valadao, this district has more people on Medicaid than any district in the country, I think. And he voted against it. And he promised that he wouldn't, but he did. He voted for the Medicaid cuts.
Really?
Valadao did.
Anything else you guys want to highlight on him? So check him out. You guys check him out if you are not familiar with him. I agree with Teresa Dolores Huerta. Like he had me with her. Like I adore her. I do want to discuss Teresa's point too about DSA. Because so I was posting about him and someone said, oh, he's for the DSA. And he is not a DSA member. I don't know if that's your issue or not, but he is not a DSA member. He did have their endorsement, but they even came out and said he is not a DSA member. So he's he's been endorsed by many. And he is not, he's not a socialist. If that's an issue for you, I don't know. Our other candidate is Troy Jackson. So let's put him up here. So I'm not, when I was saying earlier, like, do candidates need help or do they not need help? So we've been talking about Maine, and I will say when we first started talking about the Senate as flippable, I wasn't including Maine at that point with Plattner. I'll be very honest, because I saw some polling and I just saw a lot of, he wasn't as, yes, he was popular on social, but when you did hear from people on the ground, there was not unanimity there. They were worried about him, and there were a lot of people who weren't speaking out publicly that did not support Plattner for the same reasons I had problems with him and many people did. Troy Jackson got the nomination. The Maine Democrats put a very transparent process in place in record speed. Props to them. And ever since they were starting that process, we were boosting Maine. We were, so this is something that I think is definitely, so they're in the toss-up column at this point. I also still do not believe that you have to have Maine to win the Senate. Let's try, but it's not a must. So Troy Jackson is a nominee. Is he DSA? I think he is. Yes, he's DSA. And I just want everyone to realize too, there's a lot of shit that is put out on the DSA, the national DSA platform that is batshit crazy, and all of these candidates do not necessarily subscribe to that platform. I don't know why the DSA has that platform like that. I think it's crazy. It's not gaining votes there. But a lot of these candidates have a lot of policies that we can all agree on. Healthcare, voting rights, humane. Anyway, I'll just talk about him. So he's protecting water. He wants, in fact, I put here, it's hard for me to see, but with data centers, pay their own way, protect workers, and state oversight. So he has, within his data center policy, he has in place safeguards that he wants to implement. And I think that's the right thing for candidates. I have a video that we could show, but it shows the flip-flopping of governors. Maybe I will show that after this real quick. It's bipartisan, man. It's like Republicans and Democrat governors are guilty of being for data centers before they heard from us, and now they are, seeing the light. So ask every candidate if they have a data center policy. And I honestly would encourage you to ask that before you tell them your own position. See what their position is. And if they're in line with you, congratulate them. If they are not, school their asses on what they need to do. Candidates listen when they are running, and that is your best opportunity to.
And not just what they are telling you. I mean, like what their record reflects as well.
Yeah.
Because
If they
Greg
have a
Abbott is
record, some of these are new.
Greg Abbott's trying to take the positions of Gina Hinojosa in Texas and trying to he realizes how unpopular data centers are and he's trying to walk back. No, you got a whole track record of a lot of these people and how they've behaved and acted, what they've cut before in the past and what they've allowed to be unregulated. Just take that to them. Don't listen to what they're saying because some of them will lie. Not necessarily all of them, but
I'm trying to find that video real quick because I think we should show it. Oh, here. I'm not going to show it now, but I just wanted to find it real quick. And he's a union. He's definitely pro-union. So we know who Susan Collins is, and I want Casey to highlight Susan Collins. We do have a graphic for her, but he says here, this Maine doesn't need more concern. It needs a senator who will fight for Maine. So that's kind of where he's coming from. Data centers. So this is no higher. Anyway, I kind of already highlighted that, so we'll move on here. We're running short on time. Affordable homes. This seems to be a crisis everywhere. And so I think most candidates should be addressing this, obviously depending on your district. But this is like a statewide office. Maine is, he's running for U.S. Senate. So I think he should be addressing affordable housing, take on corporate investors. That's all important. And I already said he's a union guy. And this is just highlighting the difference here. Troy Jackson, at one point, if you know his background, he was pro-lifer, if you want to say that word. He was against abortion. Now he's come to see the light that women should have rights over their own body, their own decisions. So he says, I was wrong. And this was before he ran, before he was the nominee. So this isn't brand new, but I just wanted to go back and say that he evolved, he changed his mind, and I think that's respectable. Susan Collins does not regret her vote for Kavanaugh, and this is why we are here, right? So Casey, you want to jump in on well, anyone can jump in on anything, but Casey's the guru on Susan
Collins. I have a lot of hate in my heart and will constantly, I don't think I can ever get rid of that from the vote for Kavanaugh. Susan Collins, to me, is the epitome of what is wrong when people just go along with things that they know are wrong. And so she knew when she was questioning Brett Kavanaugh, because he was not, if you listen to him, he would not say, he'd say, well, yeah, Roe has said a lot, but he wouldn't say, I'm not going to vote to overturn it. If you go back and look at it, it's like he's not a trustworthy guy. And so she then votes for him. He becomes a justice. He obviously overturns Roe and all of the other damaging things that are happening. And the fact that when she's asked about that, instead of being like, yeah, that was a bad call. That was a bad call. I trusted him. That was wrong. She's like, I don't regret my vote. She won't acknowledge the harm that she's done. And this is a woman who got into office. I did a video, by the way, there's a couple videos. I've done one on her reproductive rights stances, and I did one on her pledging to step down after 2 terms, which was 12 years. And it's been 30 years. She's been in office since Titanic was #1 at the box office. That's how, if you want to see that video, you can go see
been 30 years. Oh God.
Yeah, I know. So that's on my channels. You can find them. If they're not on YouTube, they're definitely on my Instagram. You can find them. And so she pledged that, and then she went back on her word. And so this is what she's done consistently, is that she'll tell you something and then she votes differently, or she'll wait until she's sure that the Republican Party has the votes to pass it, and then she'll vote against it.
Yeah.
And so she can't be brave enough to stand up for Maine and do what's right for Maine unless she's sure that the Republicans have the vote, and then it won't hurt her to go ahead and say, I'm opposed to this. So this woman is like one of the most feckless, useless people in politics. She is just absolutely not getting Maine anything at all. And the idea that she told them, she ran on this platform of term limits, and she's been there for 30 years and she won't just let someone else step into that role is bananas. Because when you think about Olympia Snowe and her, that was the beginning of what we thought was a more progressive Republican, women-led movement. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
And then this is what it's become, which is just a really sad legacy. So I'm also talking about her Medicaid, because she's been putting out a lot of ads. I want everybody to make sure that you can call people out on this. Because they'll say, "Oh, the fact check. She didn't vote for Trump's tax bill. She didn't vote for the one big beautiful bill." You're right. She didn't vote for the final bill. She voted for the procedural vote that allowed it to come to the floor and become legislation that everyone could vote on. So she had the opportunity to stop it from going forward, and she didn't. And so, yes, she is complicit in this, and all of the Medicaid cuts that have happened that have affected her state, which, by the way, they're worse off than 46 other states. That's pretty far down, Maine. So I think, she's so deeply unpopular in Maine, and it's time to
They
get
keep
her out.
voting for her
That's
ass, though.
I know. This
As
hopefully
as
this is
former
the time.
Democratic Senate leader Harry Reid said, as to her independence, Susan Collins is always there for you when you don't need her.
Oh, yeah.
That's perfect.
True
That's
words.
exactly right. It's so true. That's right.
Okay, I'm gonna
Best
show this.
political
We were
quote
talking
ever.
about data centers. Sorry, go ahead.
Really good. That was good.
I'm gonna play this clip of governors on data centers.
Will be the centerpiece for AI data centers for Google in the entire world.
I have pressed pause on any new data center being able to join the operations in the state of Texas.
Just saying that you should not or cannot build a data center is not going to slow this technology down. What can be will be.
The jaw-dropping percentage, 25% of the electricity consumption, the entire consumption in the state, is just data centers where you are, which is insane.
People have had a chance to provide feedback. This whole idea of being rushed, I'm so tired of our country taking years to get stuff done. It's the dumbest thing ever. We think that taking time makes things better or safer. It absolutely does not. The public has brought up some concerns that some of us didn't think about that are important, and that matters.
This is a good investment because artificial intelligence alone is projected to drive $320 billion of economic growth in our state by 2038. We have no choice but to address these challenges created by these massive facilities. That is why today I'll be signing the nation's first ever statewide moratorium on hyperscale data centers.
Leverage technology like artificial intelligence to be able to police the payments and the operations and the contracts that are done in government.
This technology also threatens to upend key parts of our economy in ways that could leave many Americans out of work, and with consumers footing the bill for the cost of power-intensive data centers.
Multiple state-of-the-art data centers across our Commonwealth that will power our global economy and the future of artificial intelligence. The executive action I'll be taking in a few moments to rein in data center developers who are trying to run over our local communities and to protect Pennsylvanians from higher costs.
Why do they deserve this tax treatment?
Look, these centers enable Ohio to grow. It's not just the number of people who are employed at that data center. It's what having that data center does to attract other business around. We have paused the economic incentive from the state, which is the tax incentive, and we're just going to let it pause for a while, and give people the chance to kind of digest where they are.
So see, it's a nonpartisan issue, but y'all have been heard. That's what I want to say here. Like, it's making a difference. We don't know what's going to happen after the election. So this is what I'm saying. Like, these candidates, remember their positions when they're running. They are either against data centers or they're for, like, let's do moratoriums, pauses, let's be sensible. Make sure they're that way after. That's my caution here.
Keep speaking out.
Keep speaking out. Let them know, like I said before, when people are running, they listen. And so that is your best opportunity to push them the direction that you want them to go. All right, so where are we at here?
Can I just say something really quickly?
Sorry.
That is that a lot of people don't realize that you can talk to so many people, especially at the local level. You can call them, you can actually meet with them, you can have like conversations with them, you can go to events where they're at and talk to them. There's so much access that people don't realize that they have, and you have power. You really do, because your words could really make a difference and influence these leaders, especially at the local level. State legislators, local city council members, they are very, very receptive, because they know that you are incredibly important to their future in their position.
Yeah. So speaking of data centers, Casey, you want to?
So I posted a video tonight on Instagram, which incidentally is being very suppressed right now. And I thought that was interesting because I didn't think I would get it on this, but there's a NextEra merger with Dominion that's happening. It's going to be the largest public utility merger in history. And they're doing it because they want to build AI data centers. That's really what they're trying to do, is grab the market share of that. And so just to give you an idea of how corrupt this company is, NextEra, Florida Power and Light is its subsidiary. It had FPL when I was in Florida. Most people do. And when they, in 2020, a little bit before that, actually, 2019, Susie Wiles was one of their consultants that was trying to help them acquire Jacksonville Electric Authority, where she also worked as a consultant. And Pam Bondi was their far right wing lobbying person. She handled their lobbying firm. So just so you know how connected they are to this administration. They hired a consulting firm in 2020 to run pretend Senate candidates in the state of Florida for the state Senate seats, to lure votes away from the Democratic legislators, so that because they favored harsher regulations on utility companies. There were 5 people that were criminally prosecuted for it. It all came out. They surveilled reporters who were investigating them and compiled like 72-page long reports with photos and all kinds of stuff. These are companies that don't think the rules apply to them. And this is happening everywhere. They're already building hubs in Texas and Pennsylvania. That's a part of the deal that they've done with Trump, because guess who contributed to his grand ballroom fund? They're the only power company that did. So it's a scratch your back, scratch my back. They're ingratiated with this administration, with the Republican Party, and they're trying to push this merger through. Abigail Spanberger is trying to get in front and stop it. Oh, the lawsuit, the reason we found out about this, their investors brought lawsuit against them, alleging all this political corruption. And initially, it got thrown out by Eileen Cannon. It got reinstated after that, and the 11th Circuit overturned it. But that's how ingratiated they are with politicians. And it's all because of these AI data centers that they want to build. And they've already built 30 campuses, and they want to build 10 more before the end of this year. And so just pay attention, because, these kinds of deals are going to be like, they're going to come to your state too. They're going to try to build in your backyards too. And we all need to be fighting them, because if we don't, as soon as you turn around and realize that they've taken so much before they've even been regulated. And that's part of the problem, right? If they get in there, it's a new industry. We know AI is here, and we know it can be beneficial, but it has to be regulated, right? And right now it's kind of like the new frontier, and it's just, we have to figure out what corporations should be responsible for, and how the taxpayers, how we shouldn't have to be footing the bill, or listening to all the noise in our backyards, or harming our environments, or whatever, right? So
the AI lobby is going to be so incredibly powerful, more powerful than any other lobby.
I just really want to encourage, folks to participate at your city council meetings, even if you're just watching on like a lot of them will do YouTube, YouTube lives. You can comment.
You can still be in the chat on the.
So I just I have a quick personal little anecdotal story here. Y'all know how I feel about data centers and flock cameras. And I was encouraged to how would I say this? There's a person who the mayor of my town. Let me start over. The mayor of my town is now running for supervisor, and I was asked if I would put her sign up on my property because my property is a thoroughfare from the freeway to the town, so everyone sees it. And she managed to make it through the primary, and right afterward, as mayor, she then voted for a flock camera situation in our town.
Oh, you're kidding.
I'm gonna tell you how quick that sign came down and a letter went out. But the only way I was able to know that was by going to city council. Nobody talked about it in the town. There was no way to find out. So unfortunately things happen, but you gotta speak out. And so now it's becoming an issue. More people are stepping up. People are now paying attention. People are showing up to the city council. And that's the only, honestly, if it's happening in your little town, there's only like 7,000 people in my town. It's not very big. So those type of situations can really impact your community. And if you don't speak up,
they're not benefiting you. They're not here for you. They're not existing for you. These people that were supposed to be the stewards of our democracy are not. And so just expecting somebody else is going to go figure it out and deal with it, like that's what we got here. Until we get Citizens United overturned, until we get money out of politics, and I don't know if we ever will, but until we do that, we have to be the ones that fight back against this, because there is nobody else to do that. So in the case of these data center like mergers and stuff, they've shown that your utilities go up. Like you're gonna pay more.
You're talking to
so this is like
$1,200 a month. Our utility bills doubled. It's
crazy.
It's not sustainable. Like that's like half my mortgage payment. Like, what do you mean?
Insane.
Yeah.
Well, best of the week. High note.
Sorry,
Michelle, since you have the floor, why don't you go first?
Really, there's not a whole lot of explaining that needs to happen
run your
here.
Video,
yeah. Well, let me just say congratulations to this woman for moving on. I'll leave it at that.
Hack, you're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. Of course, the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question.
Is he worried that by the summer, Potomac River will still smell like poop?
He is worried about that. You're a reporter. You should find out. The press does only want to make the president look bad. That's a fact. Especially you. No, listen to me. Especially you and especially CNN. We expect you to cover that as you should, Caitlin. But you and your network know that you take every single thing this administration says and tries to use it to make the president look bad.
Girl, bye. I'm sure she'll be on Fox.
Girl, bye.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But that was
He's working for his
good
PAC
thing this
now,
week that happened.
so we're never gonna hear. She's never gonna shut up. But at least we won't have to watch her every day.
Melinda, how about you?
Her last day. Yeah.
It was really nice, Michelle.
Melinda flagged this.
So I just thought that some of the memes that we're seeing were just so clever and hilarious, and I like this. And why aren't we just calling him the pedo in chief or the predator in chief? I mean, this guy.
So it says Lake Trump a pedo.
Because somebody has said that he's never sued anybody that's called him that for defamation, by the way.
Trump's a pedo. Trump's a pedo. I thought that was so funny when I saw it. I spit my water. I was like, oh my God, that's clever. People are clever. And that's the good part of social media, when you see the funny people and the talented people and the brilliant people and some of the things that they say, it brings the joy. So if you're on social media, don't forget the humor. We need it because the humor gives us hope, and without hope, there's no future. So I love this one. Thanks.
That's so funny.
Chris.
Sure. So mine is Peter Cullen. We just lost him today. his career goes back 60 years. One of his first major things was all the way back on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, all the way up to right now in the Invincible series on Amazon Prime. His most famous and iconic role is Optimus Prime. And the video clip that we're going to see is a story about him talking with his brother, who was 13 months older than him, a Vietnam veteran, Marine veteran, and talking about how he came up with the characterization of Optimus Prime. And for myself, child of the 80s, Transformers was my absolute favorite cartoon, and a large part of that was Peter Cullen's portrayal of Optimus Prime. And I think the real key thing is, if you only know kind of the Michael Bay movies, I would really encourage you to go back to that 80s cartoon. Somehow, some way, they managed to take what was essentially a toy commercial and really weave in some very important concepts and topics. There's environmentalism. There is protection of human rights in there. And the key element to that was the leadership of Optimus Prime being portrayed as not just a bombastic warrior, but somebody that had heart and compassion, and that was the strength of that character. And that is what Peter Cullen was able to portray within that characterization.
I'm going to be, I'm auditioning as a truck. He did the same thing. And so I said, but Larry, he's evidently he's a hero truck. He's he's a hero. And his face got somber, and he said, Peter, if you're going to be a hero, be a real hero. Don't be a Hollywood hero with all the BS and all the yelling and screaming and trying to be tough. Be strong enough to be gentle. Well, okay, Larry, yeah. So as his voice is ringing in my ears as I'm driving to the audition, and I read the copy, and Larry is just coming out. His voice, the way he talked to me, and it said, you know, I'm Optimus Prime. No, it was, my name is Optimus Prime.
Okay.
Love that.
Casey.
Chris,
Oh,
you
sorry.
always have the best of the best.
Yeah, I would never have thought to find that.
I love that.
Okay, Casey, let's see.
Very heartfelt.
Yeah.
So this is a video that I found on Instagram, and I would just like to encourage that everybody watch it the whole way through and think about who you know that you could empower to speak like this.
For God and guns, and start voting for your kids and what's on your table and what's in your pocket. My daughter, according to these people and according to the law that is in West Virginia right now, my daughter would have been dead. She's had 2 tube legal pregnancies. The second pregnancy blew out the tube. Her third pregnancy, I was watching her die from her heart fell, and she had to have open hearts. She's had 2 open heart surgeries. She's got a mechanical valve. The same time she found out about her heart, she found out she was pregnant. I was watching it suck the life out of her day by day. Everybody in our government panders to the extremists instead of listening to the 60-75% of the rest of us out here and acting like we don't matter and our voices they don't hear. And that is why we are standing up. We are sick and tired of being ignored. We are sick and tired of being blamed for what they do, or their inactions and their actions. Anytime there is anything for the people, you're going to hear the buzzwords. You're going to hear inflation. You're going to hear recession. You're going to hear filibuster. You're going to hear compromise. But you don't hear none of them when they're handing. During the rescue package, they were giving billions to the military that didn't even ask for it. But did the military give that to their men? No, I've been in Fight for 15 rallies with their wives fighting for a living wage because they're not making enough to live, and we know that. Who's getting at the Pentagon? They're contracting buddies. It ain't our poor old soldiers that are out here, the ones who's on the front lines, just like our poor cashiers, store clerks, everybody else that kept this economy a-going. We have got the 1% that's got the majority of the money, and we've got none. You might as well say we've got none. We're robbing Peter, paying Paul, servicing each other, just barely trying to make it survive. The only thing we have is our vote. That's why they're working so hard to try to manipulate it, to steal it, to do whatever they can, because they know that's our power, and that's what we've got. And when that sleeping giant wakes up and the people come together, that's when we'll see change, and we will save our country. The people will do it, not a president. He ain't a god. He's a man.
I mean, preach, lady. Like, do we know what she does? Is she a teacher? What is she?
I don't know, but I love her. She's my soulmate. She's like my spirit animal, honestly.
This is what I would like to see Democrats speak like, because this is what you're fighting for. This is what Democrats are fighting for. This is what their platform is. Like, everything that she's saying is what the Democratic Party is doing. But it comes out of the mouth of a woman from West Virginia with a twang like this, and suddenly it sounds simplified and it's not democratic anymore. And viva la revolution, right? We are all in the same group of the 1% or the 99% that benefits that the 1% is taking from. But you should be mad about that, and you should be angry, and it affects you somehow, right? And that's what she led with, or at least I don't know how it was clipped, but that's how the cut was led, with her saying, quit voting for guns and God and start voting for your kids. And she's voting for her daughter because her daughter needs reproductive health care, because her daughter almost died, because these laws affect people. And when you speak in a way like this, like she is, which is just really authentic and real and frustrated, angry, like hurt, that's how Annie Andrews, the reason she became a candidate, right? Some of the best candidates are drawn in by personal experiences. And that's what I feel like is missing from a lot of Democratic candidates, and also from just people in real life. Like, when you go about your daily life, every single interaction you have with somebody is an opportunity to share something, some way, shape, or form. Everything is political. So just being more mindful of ways that you can share your anger and fury with people, not to bring people down, but as she's saying at the end, as a way to lift people up and empower them, because you absolutely can change things. We can all change. We could get money out of politics. We could change it. We could make it so that they can't trade stocks. We could do those things if we elect the right people, but it would take people paying attention to city council meetings, like Michelle said, right? It would take people volunteering, like Milena said. It would take people all getting together. And because we're in late stage capitalism, we're all tired and overworked. It's really hard. So we just kind of all have to do what we can in the ways that we can to share that. And I think that this was a really good reminder of that.
Yeah, that was awesome. All right, my turn. So I don't have much of a setup on this one. I will just tell you the why I'm showing this, or why it was my best. There's a lot of best, but I woke up to this and it gave me some joy, because there are personas on social media that are not real, and they have a lot of influence, and they have led many people astray. So, I'm not saying they're finished, but the fact that a little bit of the realism came out, I was glad to see.
And Tristan Tate have been forced to admit their glam lifestyle, which attracted millions of impressionable young fans, is actually fake. The brothers gave a humiliating court confession, revealing their luxury supercars are all rented, as they remain behind bars over sex charges. New court filings have revealed the siblings are trying to escape extradition to the UK over a slew of sex crime allegations by claiming their life of luxury is all just for show. According to the Daily Mail, the pair's lawyers say federal authorities have been fooled by deliberately outrageous social media claims made by the brothers. Court documents claim all the cars seen on social media videos were actually rented to create the impression the pair are uber wealthy. Their lawyers said, the more hyperbolic and outlandish the post, the more likely it will generate views and likes, which in turn generates income. In short, they are playing a role.
Also, the yacht that they were on was loaned to them for promotional purposes. So, y'all, there are other people like this, okay, on social. So I'm just saying, this is for clicks. This kind of shit is for clicks. These guys.
I did not know this.
Guys, we gotta rent some like Porsches and Ferraris for our next live. What the hell?
Let's
I
go.
didn't know that we needed to do that, but now we do.
Let me tell you how humbled I was when I got into content creation, because I don't do lifestyle content, but still there are people in my role as well. My role that I make educational content because the world's on fire. I would much rather be watching Murder, She Wrote, which, by the way, I'm going to start a whole new series on that. That should have been my best of too. Anyway, that's another thing. I feel like
Cabot Cove tonight.
No. It's just
no. I mean,
totally,
we have many more shows to do. So.
Yeah, I'm saying it's a totally different thing. So it won't be political. It probably won't come into play. But it's the fact that people will rent full houses and go film all their content in them. And then that can make people think. So most of what you're like, when people say that content creation is a lie, like I can assure you that I actually know some creators, not like personally, but like adjacently. And I was shocked because I'm very naive, obviously, apparently in the world of, I just assume that like people are telling the truth and they're all liars, big liars like this. And I didn't know about this. So this is really great to watch this humiliation happen. Like, I love that for them. They deserve it. But just for you all to know, a lot of these influencers are not living that style.
There's sets that you can rent for filming of private jets. So just, these lavish lifestyles, maybe they're real, maybe they're not, but they're not Bible. You know what I mean? These are rentals.
Yeah. So. Like, Nara Smith had that camera crew on the side and the nannies and like, same with Ballerina Farm. They both got the whole situation, but this is wonderful. I hope they're in jail for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, I love this for them. All right, y'all. Well, it is, what is it? Is after midnight? It's after.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining us again on Thursday night. We will see you next Thursday, and it was fun.